Ahoy! Merry Christmas and welcome aboard. Welcome to the Captain's Cast on the Swords and Starships channel. I must admit, the lighting I'm looking paler than I'd like, and also this, Mr. Producer, this is entirely unacceptable. This is simply too low. I must raise. There it is. It's got to be, yeah, there. Hang on. Technical difficulties. I have already started a fight in the Discord. This Superman trailer, it's like everyone's fighting over this. Nobody's happy with it. Why am I out of sync? I'm out of sync. I'm out of sync. God, Restream is not it is not working. I have got to figure this out. I just, I don't know what to tell you, Chad. It drives me crazy. I'm a perfectionist. And if one thing is out of alignment, I hate it. This Superman trailer has got people. If there are two nerds in a room on this Superman trailer, there are 6 opinions. 6 minimum. There was basically Friday Night Tights over there on Nerdrotic channel. That was just 2 hours of fighting over this trailer. My own Sailors and Starnuts, my dear Sailors and Starnuts, you in the Discord. Link is in the description. Join us if you haven't already. You are arguing about the Superman trailer and whether it's good and whether it's not. Well, it's a good thing you're here. Because you need to hear the opinion that matters most, the captain's. And I am going to give you my thoughts on the Superman trailer. And it might surprise you. And I have seen Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I am a new initiate in the Sonic the Hedgehog trilogy now. I had only recently seen the first 2 because our own Starfighter requested. Am I too close to the mic? Is this too much? My own Starfighter requested that I watch the trailer for it, and I had not seen the first 2. So I went back and watched the first 2 Sonic films, and I will say they are lighter fare than I'm used to. I don't mean lighter as in terms of optimistic. I mean lighter as in they really kind of are kids' movies. They're a little silly. Let's just be honest. They're a little silly, but no less charming for that. And I have to tell you, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, I think they hit a home run. I think they hit a grand slam. It's been awesome so far. So we will, oh my goodness. Fu Man Blue, you didn't wait around, did you? You are too kind, sir. Now, he can't send super chats through YouTube, so he sent them through Rumble because we are live on YouTube, X, and Rumble. Here on the Swords and Starships channel, please like and subscribe. Fu Man Blue with a $100 Rumble rant. Mr. Producer, please. Louder, Mr. Producer. Louder! You know what I need? I need my triumphant music, and I forgot to upload it. But I'll see if I can do that. Fu Man Blue says, by way of Rumble rant, it's that time of year again already. Half of this I intended as affirmation of a job well done and a Merry Christmas. But the other half, I'm sorry, but I need proof of life. Show the bib. You know what? I don't have it with me because I'm traveling. I am at my Christmas vacation home. If you can't tell, this is my Christmas vacation home in a remote forested area, and I forgot to pack the bib. It was too much. I would have had to check a second bag, and I just couldn't afford that because I have to pay the mortgage on this Christmas vacation home. Now, but I thank you very. If I had it, I would show you. If I had it, I would. Scout's honor. Thank you, Fu Man Blue. That's too kind. Too kind indeed. Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to all of you, my dear sailors and starnauts. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing. People keep asking, what's your favorite Christmas movie? And this is kind of an anomaly because I don't really have a favorite Christmas movie. What I have is a favorite Christmas story. And for me, and the problem is there's so many movies that have been made based on this Christmas story that I don't really have a favorite adaptation either. I do have one I hate though, and I'll mention that. But I will say my favorite Christmas story of all time, and it may be the Christmas story that really reinvigorated Christmas as like a super popular holiday. And that, of course, is the one, the only, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. That is the ultimate Christmas story. I love it. Every year I listen to Patrick Stewart's audio drama performance of A Christmas Carol. It's excellent. It's better than any movie for me. Every single year I listen to it. Um, and it reminds me that the three ghosts of Christmas, past, present, and future, will eventually visit our dear Star Fury. But maybe not this year because Star Fury just sent a $5 Rumble rant saying Merry Christmas. Well, Merry Christmas to you, my dear Star Fury. And I owe you a watch of. I definitely owe Fu Man Blue some more Stargate, that's for sure. But I, but I owe you a watch of. What was the name of it again? You sent it to me in the Discord. Um, what was the? Hang on. I just pulling up my chat. It was the Secret Level. It's this Amazon anthology series, Secret Level, and it basically so every episode is an adaptation of a popular video game franchise, and one of them, or game franchise, I suppose, and one of them, episode 5, I believe, is a Warhammer 40,000 adaptation. So you have my word, Dystopia. I will watch that episode actually with great relish. It looks really good. Actually, I was sort of skimming through the episode titles of like, wow, this is looking good. So yeah, I will check it out. I will watch Warhammer 40,000. Henry Cavill fights for us. He fights for us. He is out there on the front lines fighting to give Amazon a win that they are desperately trying to avoid getting. You know what I mean? He is in charge of Warhammer 40,000. He is dedicated to making it honor the source material. And he's had to ice skate uphill to make this happen. It's unbelievable. Some companies just don't know what's good for them. Am I right or am I right? Or am I right? Am I right? So, by the way, Jim Carrey in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, I don't even know if it was appropriate how much I was laughing. I don't even know if it's appropriate how hard I was laughing in the theater. He is so funny in this movie. He is literally he is full blown Ace Ventura levels of Jim Carrey in this movie. There are, and the funny thing about his comedy is only he can be funny doing the things he's doing. Like it's unique to him. Like if just one other actor were doing exactly what he's doing, I probably would have rolled my eyes. But for whatever reason, Jim Carrey's able to do things in a way that is so literally no one else in the theater was laughing. It was just me. And I was like, I can't stop. This is funny. Isn't this funny? No, it's funny to me. Anyway. So we'll talk about Sonic. We'll talk about the Superman trailer. We're just going to have lots of fun. We're going to have a very Merry Christmas. I should have got some royalty-free Christmas music, but I'm running on a little earlier time zone, so I had to get up early just to get this done. This is the 100th episode of the Captain's Cast. Can you believe it, chat? 100 episodes. And everyone has been just a hoot. An absolute hoot. What's in my chat? Do I have chat connected? I sure do. Star Fury says, I love it. Star Fury says, keep the change, you filthy animal. I can't just, if I had to pick one, just gun to my head, if I had to pick one, maybe Home Alone is my favorite Christmas movie. It's a pretty good one. I loved that movie as a kid. I wanted to be Kevin. I went home after seeing that movie in the theater and started like drawing maps and trying to plan traps. And I remember thinking like, this is really a lot harder than it looks in the movie. I can't really think of any good traps for my house. And then I built a deadfall, and the mailman, unfortunately, did not know it was there. And, fortunately, I was a minor, so the lawsuit wasn't totally severe. He recovered. He recovered mostly. But it's a thing. Look, I was inspired. Okay, Redoubt Productions says my last videos for the year are ready for their premiere. Now I kick back and listen to the Captain while plotting out a course for next year. Why, my dear Redoubt Productions, you honor me, sir. You honor me. I was going to say, I really, I really want to see more short form videos from you that tell stories. I was quizzing some young family members of mine, teenagers, and I was asking them just as basic and simple of questions about history as I could. I said, like, who did we fight in World War One? Admittedly, a lot of people don't know much about World War One, and it's kind of vague. But I figured they'd at least name Germany, and they couldn't. They had no idea. They didn't even know what century it was in. I said, okay, fine, I'll give you an easy one. Uh, who did we fight in World War Two? They didn't know. They didn't know. I said, when was World War Two? They still didn't know. I said, when did America become a country? What, they couldn't come up with a year, much less, and they couldn't figure out the century. Their guesses, I should say, varied from the 19th century, my words, not theirs, to the 16th century. They were about to place the birth of America in the 1500s. I was like, oh my God, no, I have to start a YouTube channel just to address this. And so Redoubt, your efforts are needed, sir. Needed. Fu Man Blue says, hail and happy tidings. Hail, Fu Man Blue. Thank you again for the very generous Christmas gift. And I consider it a gift to what we are building on Swords and Starships. We are building an Iron Age company that is going to produce great works of fiction. And so I consider it an auspicious donation to that very worthy cause. And we have Tom in the chat. Ahoy, Tom. Merry Christmas, Tom. Merry Christmas. Tidings of comfort and joy, says Tom. Comfort and joy. Tidings of comfort and joy. I'm totally off key, damn it. Why can't I get I can't quite pick up the tune in my head. Anyway, tidings of comfort and joy. Redoubt Production says, so far you are in sync on my feeds. I guess it's just my monitor looked like I was out of sync. I'm paranoid, Redoubt. Fu Man Blue. I really, it means a lot to me, but that's a huge donation. And listen, no donation ever expected or required. But it's an honor. It's an honor nonetheless. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And it will go towards the cause. I'm just honored that me bullshitting about nerd stuff that I like is worthy of your time. That to me is an honor. The fact that there's anyone here is such a relief. If I had to, it's a big relief. I got to tell you. Oh God, thank God. The first time I went live, I said, "What if nobody shows up?" And I was like, "Well, Tom will be there. Somebody will show up." And it was like the fact that a few of you, including you, Star Fury, and you, Fu Man Blue, and you, Tom, and you showed up, and I was like, "Thank God." But one day we're gonna have thousands, as far as the eye can see. You'll see. We'll get there. Star Fury would like to weigh in on the Superman trailer. This is going to be a fun one, chat. You just buckle up because I could tell there is a fault line in nerddom over this trailer. Fascinating. It's what I live for, chat. This is what I live for. Star Fury says Superman trailer was shit. Wow. Star Fury says Sonic is fun fluff. I think he means that. Well, I mean, I would agree. Honestly, the first, second, and third films, if you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. If you liked the first Sonic film, you're gonna like the second one. You're gonna like the third one. If you don't like the first one, you're not gonna like them. I would say that I kind of wish the stakes were a little more intense with Sonic. On the other hand, I feel like the movies are what they are, and they tell a pretty good story, but they are what they are. They just embrace that they are a little bit silly. Uh, Sonic is a cartoon character that they explain as he's an alien. So you just go with it. You just go with it. And they don't take themselves too seriously, but they do take fan service seriously, and they do take the lore seriously. And the character of Sonic is, I titled the stream "The Return of the Hero," and I consider Sonic a point in that column. You know, he's a heroic character who wants to do the right thing and he wants to help people, and it's charming. It's charming. It's a good family story. Fu Man Blue says, "I knew he'd say that when I saw the backdrop." Say what, Fu Man Blue? I missed. Mm, mm, mm. You'll have to help me with that. Universal is in the chat. Says, "Ahoy, Captain. I like the background, but shouldn't you be in a Santa suit? LOL." Yes. You noticed that, did you? Yes, I didn't have time to go get a Santa hat. I really wanted to have a Santa hat, and I didn't have time for it. So yes, you are correct, Universal. I failed you. I failed you, Universal. I take full responsibility. Fu Man Blue says, "At least a hat." Yeah, I agree. I agree. You're exactly right. Excoriate me. I have failed Christmas. Christmas has failed because of me. Ho, 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 says Universal. I'm glad to see you in the spirit of things, my dear chat. Staffhere says you can find Patrick Stewart's version on YouTube. Oh, that's a great suggestion. You know, I had the CD. That's how long. I'm such a nerd. I am such a nerd that when I was like, I don't know, maybe 15 or something, I asked for that audio CD for Christmas. It was like what I want. And when I unwrapped that present, I was so happy. I asked for Patrick Stewart's performance of A Christmas Carol on CD. I think it was 2 discs. It's 2 discs. You have to listen to the first disc and then you have to put in the second disc. And I was so happy. It's like, that's pretty neckbeardy. That's pretty neckbeardy to ask for that. But no, it made me very happy, and now you could just listen to it on YouTube, and I recommend it. It's not that long because it's not the whole novel; it's abridged. So it's basically a one-man show. Patrick Stewart does the voices of all the characters. His Scrooge is excellent. It is the best Scrooge ever. He just nails it completely. But he does all the voices, and they're really well done. And it's maximum. It's peak Patrick Stewart. It's back when he was in his prime as a Shakespearean thespian actor. And before Picard, it was before he was all wheezy and old. And it's just magnificent, and it's not that long. It's only a couple of hours long, I would say. So beginning to end. Secret level, yes, of course, Staffhere, and I will check it out. Skunk's Workshop is in the chat. The one with the Revel robot was awesome. Rebel? You meant Rebel. Okay, thank you, dear Skunks. And Skunks is chatting on X. Look at that. Skunks is chatting on X. That's cool. Nice. Thanks, Skunks. Good to see you. Starfire says, "For the Emperor." Universal, Jim Carrey has always been funny, but in a cringy way. He's an absolute guilty pleasure. He is, it's literally you're laughing at something that you feel a bit naughty for laughing at. He does this thing in the movie. Him and his grandpa do this dance number in the movie that at first you're laughing because it's so ridiculous. But then it just keeps going. It just keeps going and going. And I'm like, what am I watching? And I can't stop laughing. It's so, it's awesome. Yeah. The house in Home Alone was huge. It was. Honestly, even now, I can't even really classify a house like that. It's like, does anyone even live in a house like that? Or is that just made up for a movie? It's basically a mansion is what it is. Skunk's Workshop says, "Congrats on Captain's Cast number 100. Why, thank you, dear Skunks. I appreciate that. Universal says, "Who were these people and their ages you were talking to?" Who was I talking to? Remind me. What was I talking about? I don't remember. Remind me, Universal, and I will answer that question. Stavhide says at Redoubt Productions, please do an episode on Rogers Rangers. Tom says, happy 100th Captain in chat. Ahoy, Tom, and happy 100th to you. Congratulations on being here for the 100th episode. You made it. You made it. Universal says, not just shit, it was super doggy shit. Oh my God. Oh my God. Talking about the Superman trailer. I'm going to be lucky if I have subscribers after you hear my opinion on the trailer, but we'll see. We'll see. Stop it. He says Sonic is a series that actually gets better with each one. Agreed. The third one was excellent. It's the best one. I loved Shadow. Keanu Reeves as the voice of Shadow was awesome. Just really awesome. And he brought a wonderful emotional depth and complexity to the character. So yeah, I'd say Sonic 3 is it's a great trilogy entry. Redoubt Productions saying that he has controversial opinions on Rogers Rangers. Well, that's all the more reason to do the video, Redoubt. Redoubt says, but British light infantry in North America is a subject matter I'm greatly interested by. As well you should be. Stop it. What does that... Oh, yes, a quote from Die Hard. I have a gun now. Ho, ho, ho. Yes. It has to be a quote because you're in Britain, and there are no guns in Britain. I have it on good authority. Stormcrow says, gentle Stormcrow is welcome and is arrived in the chat, and he's welcome. Says, hail Capitan. I think it's safe to say that Sonic 3 is a better spent time than War of the Rohirrim. It is. War of the Rohirrim is trash, and it was boring, and I wanted to fall asleep. God, that movie is such an eye roll. It's at War of the Rohirrim. It's like it's the lack of self-awareness. It really is. That's what it is to me. It's like, do you understand you're rehashing a trope that has failed like 20 times in the last 2 years? And it's so obvious. It's so on the nose. It's just, oh, God. I'm so tired of how Hollywood thinks it's new and original every single time they say, I have an idea. Let's have a stunning and brave woman instead of a man. Nobody's ever seen that before. And they think it's new every time they do it. Why do they think that? Every single time. This is why I think Korra in Rebel Moon is so amazing. Because she is 10-year-old vintage girl boss. Which is what Hera in War of the Rohirrim is also. Like, Hera and Korra are kind of very similar to me. They are vintage, old school girl boss when it was very new. Really, it's like 90s era girl boss. It's literally like in the 90s when it was kind of novel to have female characters suddenly being like the protagonist, like the warrior protagonist. That was unusual, or it was at least novel, let's say, at that time. I mean, it's not really, because there's always been female protagonists that break the norms, think of Princess Leia in 1970s Star Wars. But like they think it's new every time. They're like, well, we can't just do a man. We can't make it about Helm Hammerhand because that would be cliche and boring. We should do something no one's ever seen before, like a stunning and brave girl boss. It's so lame. Redoubt Production says, I'm too jaded by the shite we've been served over the past decade to get hyped by the Superman trailer alone. Here's what I will say. Hype is a strong word. Am I hyped or excited for the Superman film? No. No, I am not. I suppose we should just jump into my reaction to the So the Superman trailer has provoked quite the spectrum of responses, ranging from it was total crap, such as our very own Staffhitty, and who else said it was shite? Was it Stormcrow? Universal thinks it's crap. And then we have on the other end of the spectrum, a lot people saying, like Robert Meyer Burnett, for example, saying they really liked it. They thought it was hopeful and it was great. I suppose it might be disappointing. I kind of fall in somewhat the middle on this. I will say I mostly really liked the Superman trailer. I mostly really liked it. Now, I know that the fact that it opens with Superman battered and broken on the snow is bothering some people, and I understand your concerns. I understand your reasons. You're thinking, yet once again, we are seeing our hero beaten and broken and sort of humiliated. I don't see it that way. I actually liked. I'm not saying it was the right choice for the very first teaser. I'm not saying it was necessarily the right choice for that, but I do like that as a hook that he's sort of he's to me that implies he's been in some terrible battle and he's been fighting like hell and he's taken some damage. One of the problems I've always sort of had with Superman is that we're talking about Superman. We're talking about Superman Universal. And one of the problems I've had with Superman is that he is so powerful that it's sometimes difficult to understand what could actually defeat him. It's sometimes difficult to actually see a threat to him that's plausible. So I like the implication that he's facing a threat that really is a threat. And I think that's what I like about it. And the point of it to me is that there is an arc, which is he's going to get back up. It's like Batman in Batman Begins when he gets his ass kicked by Scarecrow. And then there's that wonderful moment of his father saying, "Why do we fall, Bruce?" So we can learn to pick ourselves up. And that's the way I read it in the trailer. And I like it because it introduces stakes, and the rest of the trailer is about him fighting for what's good and what's just. And I will say, we might as well just grab my X feed on this because I basically posted on my X on the X site for Swords and Starships, which is at the SNS channel. No, what am I looking for? I need profile. Yes, posts. Okay, cool. Yeah, we could just go through this X post by X post. Mr. Producer, if you would share screen. We'll talk about the dog. We're going to talk about the dog, Star Fury, I promise. Patience, my dear chat. Okay, here is at the SNS channel. That is at the SNS channel. That is our handle on the X platform. So my post on this original teaser that was posted on X by, this is, Superman flying, and it's got the music. And I tweeted, "I know you want to tell an optimistic tale, James Gunn. Can you?" And that was my reaction to the X post. And that's kind of my attitude even after seeing the trailer for James Gunn. Like you say, am I sharing? Hang on. Let me zoom back out. Hang on. Sorry. Delay of game. Full screen. Mr. Producer, I can't navigate with this layout. Well, I know, but that's your job. You were supposed to be prepared for this. No, that's why it's called an unpaid internship. It's about experience and mentorship. You're being mentored. It's everybody's a critic. Okay, here we go. This is probably what I'm looking for. Presentations? No. I'm working on a smaller monitor today, chat. Just bear with me a second here. There it is. Yes, give me that view. Thank you. Okay, here we go. Okay, so that's where I'm at with this. It's like, can he really tell an optimistic tale? I don't know if it's possible. They live in they live in the Hollywood swamp, really. And Hollywood is infested with nihilism, modernism, and deconstructionism. They are a deconstructionist hammer that sees everything as a nail. Hollywood is deeply uncomfortable with the simple moral belief of truth, justice, and the American way. They're uncomfortable with it. They're uncomfortable with the very idea of being confident in one's identity, just look at how confused they all are about their identities. Imagine having so few actual problems in life that literally you devote vast amounts of your time and energy to figuring out what sex you are. That should give you some idea about what a deep identity crisis Hollywood. I mean, almost everything that they think about involves being, the devil's advocate against traditional classical Western civilizational values. Oh, I love Hamilton. Hamilton is such a great play. And Hamilton is my favorite founder because he's the founder I know about because of that play. And that's why I'm such a proud American, because I saw Hamilton. Name one other founder or framer. Uh, uh, Hamilton. They don't. Aaron Burr. So they think that they appreciate the values of truth, justice, and the American way, but they're illiterates when it comes to that. And their temptation will always be to deconstruct. We'll come back to that tweet in just a second. So let's just go through a few of these shots. We'll start with, it's kind of a mishmash here. It's a mixed bag, folks. And this was my tweet about this shot. Look, a dragon. It's a dragon. Why is there a dragon? I don't understand this. This might actually be my least favorite shot of the trailer now that I think about it. Because WTF, man. Like, what is this? Why is there a dragon? All right, fine. However, this is what I mean when I say it's a mixed bag. The shot where Superman is punching through the glass and you hear the kid calling out for Superman, and then he raises the flag and he's like, calling out to Superman, that, as I put it in my tweet, melts my cold, cynical heart. And I really like that. I really like that a lot. I think that's where it's working. That's where we're seeing some of that optimistic Superman. There's the shots. This is a really confusing shot because you have Superman and Lois together while some kind of alien machine is destroying the city. Why is he making out with Lois while that's happening? That's confusing. Why? This is another one. Actually, there's a lot of critiques in my tweets here. Look, more Justice League shoehorns. I mean, this makes me nervous. I will say this about the trailer makes me nervous, that we're introducing Hawkgirl. We've got this dinosaur. We're introducing another. We've got all these characters that we're introducing. Is this another Justice League? I sure hope not. I hope that this is a Superman movie and not a Justice League setup movie. That's a big red flag. That being said, as I put it, I don't know who this character. Oh, it's Mr. Terrific. Okay, Mr. Terrific, super cool, and I'm not just saying that to prove I'm not racist. Looks pretty cool. I'm into that. I am a little. Is this Superman carrying Lois into the upper atmosphere? Because as I put it here, Lois needs oxygen. As you can see, I went on a bit of a tweet bender. Lois needs oxygen. Just a nitpick. Just a nitpick. We need a. I think we should have a new Amazing Spider-Man film, but that's not germane to what we're talking about. That was pretty funny. There was this tweet: if Zack Snyder did the Superman trailer, Crypto's got a machine gun ready to put Superman down. And I said yes, and every bullet would be traveling in ultra slow motion. So it's better than a Snyder take. I'm very much into Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. I think that looks rad. What did I say? Someone asked CBM Shots, which is where the channel that I got this from, says Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, and I quote tweeted it, is obviously brilliant and about 1,000,000 times better than popsicle sucking Jesse Eisenberg. Because Jesse Eisenberg is probably the worst interpretation of a comic book villain ever. Ever. I hate Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor with an absolute passion. I will take Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze over Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. What in the hell was that? Okay, let's scroll down to kind of my overall take, which is okay. Here we go. Here we go. I said, quote, there's an awful lot of robots, aliens, super dogs, and giant hairy laser orbs in Superman 2025. To quote Billy Bob Thornton from Bad Santa, you know, but look at all that shit. Like, do we really need all that shit? Do we really need all that shit? Um, so that's kind of my initial thoughts on it. Here was my takeaway. I really enjoyed it. I loved that. I love Superman protecting the girl from the explosion. I think that was quintessential Superman. In fact, dang it, did I forget to go over that one? I think I did. Mm, hang on, it's in the Discord. No, get rid of that. Kill that tab. I don't need that. Where's my Discord, Mister Producer, Mister Mindflayer? Okay, I'll check that out, Mister Mindflayer. If you're out there, I will check out your pinned message. Um, it's in the forward lounge aboard the Swords and Starships Discord. I posted my thoughts. Yes, here it is. Uh, copy that. And we'll share screen. Fu Man Blue with another Merry Christmas in the Rumble chat. I appreciate it, Fu Man Blue. A founding member of the Swords and Starships channel, as is Starfitty, as is Tom. We used to have Poyo Surf. I miss Poyo Surf. I haven't seen Poyo Surf in a while. All right, share screen. So this is kind of this is my bottom line on the Superman trailer. Okay. And make sure I got the right. No, that's not the right one, Mr. Producer. There we go. Quote, in this single shot, the Superman trailer demonstrates the heart and soul of the Superman character, which reflects the true human heart. Though we stumble and fall, Clark Kent reminds us of who we are at our best, and when we fail, who we aspire to be. Gunn may have nailed it. May have. Time will tell. But yeah, this would be the shot. I mean, this is the reason I like the trailer. This is the reason I like the trailer. That is Superman. Coupled with the shot of him kind of battered and broken. And I know a lot of people don't like that shot, and I understand their concerns. I really do, and I'm sympathetic. But I like that shot because to me, it suggests that he's really putting himself on the line for humanity. He's literally getting his ass beat on behalf of humanity. He's fighting for humanity, and he's throwing his entire self into it. And he's going to win because he's Superman, and he's going to, and I didn't see that. I did not see the trailer as trying to suggest that he's a broken character. Rather, he's a character who doesn't give up. And I think that can, now, is it the best choice for the first look? I don't know. Maybe not. But it suggests stakes, and the next thing we see is that amazing shot of him protecting, what do I always talk about? The value of just every human life is significant. It's a great line in Star Trek Voyager. Chakotay is arguing with this madman who's deleting entire civilizations from history, and the madman doing this rationalizes it by saying, I'm trying to repair the damage I've done, and I just have to erase the right civilization to reset the timeline. And a few lives in service of that goal are insignificant. And Chakotay says, no, you're wrong. Every life is significant. Even a single life is significant. A single species, a single world, a single life is significant. And I love that message. And I feel that shot is sort of saying that. It's arguing that to Superman, every human life is valuable and is worthy of protection. So that's overall why I like the trailer. I'm concerned. Why is there a dragon? Why is there Hot Girl? Why is there weird pumpkin haircut Nathan Fillion, I don't know. And I have concerns about that. But overall, I feel like it's now let's talk about the dog. Okay, yeah. So everyone's upset about the dog. I'm on the fence about the dog. Here's what I will say. Crypto is a comic book character, and I think that I mean, if what we are asking is that the comic books be honored, that we see comic book accurate costumes. I mean, what were we complaining about with Wolverine? He's never in the costume. What do I complain about with Spider-Man? He's never wearing his damn mask. So if we are going to ask creatives to just take the lore seriously and embrace all of the lore and stop worrying about whether general audiences will think it's silly that they're in spandex or that the actual comic book events are happening on screen, rather just adapt it, just adapt the source material. So it seems to me, my impression is, I feel like James Gunn is fully embracing, so far, based on this trailer, time will tell, but it seems to me, based on this trailer, that he is embracing the comic book lore, the true comic book lore and look and feel of everything. Clark Kent seemed very much like, in the brief shots we got, he seemed very much like the Christopher Reeve Clark Kent to me, which is really the heart and soul of the character. So I think that his heart's in the right place, is what this trailer seems to suggest to me. And overall, it was mostly pretty inspiring and pretty enjoyable. I would say the only parts of the trailer teaser, we should say teaser. It's not really a trailer. It's not giving us truly a hook for the story. I really like Lex Luthor. I love the actor they picked for him. He looks great. He looks like, and that actor is really good at bringing some emotional intensity. I'm excited for that. I like James Corin Sweat as the character. I think he fits the role. I really liked him as Clark Kent in that trailer. I'm okay with Crypto because I think that Crypto, he's a part of the comics, and now is he the best part of the comics? I don't know. I'm not like a Superman super fan, so I will leave that to Superman comic book readers. But I think it can work. I think it can work, and I don't think it's. I think within the context of the film, I mean, this is James Gunn. I thought the idea of a talking raccoon was stupid as hell. And I was sort of, as I've said, I was a hostile audience when I went to see Guardians of the Galaxy. I did not like the idea of a bunch of dopey characters in space in the Marvel universe. I felt that it would water things down. And ironically, it wasn't until later that happened. It was actually everyone trying to copy Guardians of the Galaxy that started watering the MCU down. But really, Rocket Raccoon wound up having this really plausible story. He was this animal that was experimented on and given sentience, and he doesn't even really understand like where he fits into the universe. He's just a guy trying to make a living. That worked. It worked really well, and I love Rocket Raccoon as a result of that. So what I'm saying is, I think that this is a creative who has vision. Whether it turns out to be right for Superman or not is another story, but he has definitely proven that he can make a character as seemingly silly as a talking raccoon turn out to be one of the more meaningful characters in the MCU universe. Truly a great character. There's moments with Rocket Raccoon that are powerful and moving. So if he can do that with the raccoon, I think he can do it with Crypto the dog. I think he can. So I'm willing to be optimistic about Crypto's role. The most concerning thing to me in the trailer is Hot Girl and the dragon. Because, and I guess to some extent, Mr. Terrific, I just, not because of those characters, but because I don't want to see another attempt to shoehorn every side character we need for a Justice League film into this movie. I want this to be a Superman movie, not a Superman plus guests movie. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what if Batman Begins had been stuffed with, Robin and, the Green Arrow and a bunch of other DC characters? It would have ruined the hero's journey of Bruce Wayne becoming Batman. So that's my concern. But on to you, chat. Let's hear what you have to say. Wrangler has arrived in the chat. I just saw that. Oh boy, the chat is on fire on this. Mm-mm-mm. Star Fury says, I'm bothered by the fucking dog. You don't like the dog, Star Fury. Rocket Raccoon worked. It can work, Star Fury. I thought Rocket Raccoon was a terrible idea. And I was wrong about that. So it's possible. Are we going to John Wick this whole movie? No, we're not. Crypto's not going to get put down by Russian monsters. I'm pretty sure about that. Mm, Universal. Oh, yeah. In answer to my question, can James Gunn do an optimistic Superman? Universal says no. How did he become the boss at DC? Horrible decision. I do agree he needs to shut his mouth on social media. Um, we'll see. I hear your thoughts. I'm open to the possibility that it will be good. Now, it could be that I'm just not mean enough for this world. You know what I'm saying? How many times do I have to get burned before the lesson is learned? I know. I hear what you're. I can practically predict what you're saying out there, Universal. There's enough in the trailer to encourage me that I'm willing to give it a chance. And I guess a part of me is I just am tired. I'm tired of drivel. I want to see something really good. I want to see something really good. I'm encouraged by one thing. And I'm sure that, and you can just assume this about 90% of Hollywood creatives, but I'm sure that James Gunn is a far left wacko, like just a far left wacko who probably, um, has TDS. Who knows? Probably not. At least he keeps his mouth shut about it. But he said in a tweet, regardless of your political leanings, this is a story about, kind of a cynical America being inspired by hope again, And I think that's a positive sign because he's basically saying whatever your political beliefs, you're welcome in the audience. And that's not something we've seen from Hollywood creatives lately. So I guess what I'm saying is it's a sign to me that he's attempting to make a Superman movie for all Superman fans. This is not going to be a Superman film that's for the right people and is basically, going to vilify the rest of the audience. Now, I could be wrong. I'm just saying that the reading the tea leaves, such as they are, I think that there are some encouraging signs here. What I guess I would say is James Gunn is demonstrating a mostly professional mindset so far. Uh, I mean, I look, these shared universes are on their last legs. They just are. Like the MCU is dead, and I don't think it's ever coming back. It just isn't. I think they've so mangled it, they've so butchered it with the multiverse. All that's left now is Deadpool style parodies, really. And I think that the DC universe has never been good. It's never been good. It's so bizarre. DC used to try and copy all the things Marvel was doing. Now Marvel is copying what DC is doing, and DC has never been able to successfully copy Marvel. Uh, all I want is a good movie. I just want a good movie. I want a good Superman movie. Just give me that, and we'll talk. Star Fury says, Batman has always been the better superhero. He can take Superman. Don't forget he had plans to take out every member of the Justice League if they went bad, as Ra's al Ghul proved when he stole them. Yeah, no, that's a great point, Star Fury. I hear that often. Let me see if I can adjust my microphone distance. There we go. That's better. That's better. I have such a rickety setup right now, you wouldn't even believe it if you saw it. Here at my vacation home in the Swiss Alps. Now, Universal says, did you hear that 3 stunt people died during the production of this movie? One committed suicide. Oh, that's awful. In the parking lot, and 2 others while shooting. Honestly, that sounds like the production of Passion of the Christ right there. That's now, I'm not laughing at this tragedy. Don't misunderstand. I'm laughing at the tragedy of it. It's gallows humor, for That's terrible. I mean, I feel like that's something though that does happen. It does happen on film sets. Film sets are dangerous. It's kind of a miracle it doesn't happen more often when you really think about it. Superman was done well by Christopher Reeve, says Universal, and I would agree. Star Fury says they are trying to Godzilla this shit. What does that mean, Star Fury? Godzilla, that could mean many things. Oh, you mean like why is to the dragon, the fire breathing dragon against Superman? There's just a lot of shit. there's a look at all that shit. As Billy Bob Thornton says, we got a dragon, we got some kind of hairy like death ray in the sky. We've got Hawk Girl shows up, Mr. Terrific shows up, Crypto the super dog shows up. Like there's a lot of shit in that trailer. Doesn't mean necessarily it's a bad thing. It just is. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in. And the question that comes to my mind is, do you really need all that shit? Or could the story just be Clark Kent, Superman, Lois, and Lex Luthor? Frankly, I really used to be a fan of Smallville, and I had always kind of wanted to see a Tom Welling Superman movie, even if it was just a made for TV one. Just make. I never did actually see the end of that series, so for all I know, I don't even know how it ended. I don't know if he ever put on the suit or anything. I lost track of that show, but I got tired of waiting for him to actually be Superman, and so did the show because they had him just start being Superman even though he wasn't Superman, which got to be really annoying and confusing. Redound Production says, "Oh God, the Hamilton crowd shudders in fear. It's the worst. It's the I absolutely Hamilton. Don't get me started. And by the way, I don't have a problem with the play. Like the play is it's brilliant. It's great. That's nothing. That's not my issue. My issue is with the fans of the play who now think that they are American history literate and that they are patriots, and they're not. Some of the most cynical, America-hating people I've ever met love Hamilton, and they think it makes them proud of their country. I'm so proud of my country, even though we have this racist slavery past, and it's just like you hate America, like you just like that Hamilton is a diverse play. It's like being it's you know what it is? It's like a shill. It's like a Disney Star Wars shill. That's what it is. I am an American history fan. I'm an America fan. Like, I'm a huge fan of America. Its history, its founding, all the founders. James Madison, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, Samuel Adams, Paul Revere, and Alexander Hamilton. I'm a fan of all those people. I really am. Abigail Adams, Dolly Madison. So many great people contributing to this country becoming what it is. And of course, the later founders of America, such as Abraham Lincoln, such as Martin Luther King. I think we've had a lot of founders in this country, even after the founding of the country. I'm a fan of all of them. But when I hear, but basically that's like it's like being a Star Wars fan. Like I'm a real fan of the lore, and then you have to listen to people who don't know anything about Star Wars talking about Baby Yoda, and it's cringe. That's my issue with Hamilton. They're like, oh my gosh, Hamilton's so cool. I never knew American history was so awesome, and basically that Alexander Hamilton founded the country. It's like, no, he didn't. You know what I mean? It's just it's like a shill. Shut up, shill. You're not really a fan of America. You're a fake fan because of Hamilton. That's all it is. Star Fury says, I so hate the modern deconstruction of history. Can we Thanos snap every modern writer since the 2000s? We can keep Taylor Sheridan. He's kind of got the right idea. And Lauren LaFranc of The Penguin. We'll keep her. Star Fury says, I did enjoy the Superman fart tangent of F&T. I missed that. I must have missed that, Star Fury. Universal says the only good thing about this movie is that the first series Justice League comics will finally increase in price from cover price to actually making a profit now. Jesse sucked total ass. Worst ever interpretation of the character, says Fu Man Blue. To whom are we referring? Help me out, Fu Man. Anthony Timmons is in the chat. Says, ahoy, Starshippers. Ahoy, Anthony. Welcome aboard. Assume you'll post. Universal says, George Reeves, who played Superman in Stamp Day for Superman, 1954, died by suicide by gunshot in 1959 at the age of 45. Well, that's terrible. I did not know that. Universal says, during this new Superman movie, a female stunt person did the same thing. That's very grim, Universal. Anthony Timmons says, I'm biased. I didn't like it overall. Yeah, share your thoughts on the Superman trailer. I would say, is it, for the most part, I really enjoy watching. I really love the music in it, and I really like the heroic shots of Superman. I love the Lex Luthor shots and the Lucas Corp shots. However, yes, I have my issues with the dragon and all the extra characters showing up, and it's almost like Superman is having to share his own teaser with a bunch of other characters from the Justice League. And it's like, why not just call it Justice League and just forget about the whole Superman thing? But we'll see. I really like the kid holding up the flag saying, Superman, Superman. Come on, man. That's the cutest thing ever. Well, that to me is the heart and soul of the Superman character. And, what I said about what bothered me about that picture of him putting on his boots is that it makes it look like Superman is being put upon having to save the city. And what I'll say about this teaser is I did not get that feeling at all. I got the feeling that, as I like to say, saving the world, saving humanity, saving Metropolis for Clark Kent, Superman, it's no trouble. It's no trouble. It's what he was born to do. It's what he loves to do. Wranglers in the chat. Merry Christmas, Wrangler, says a whole lot of Ola. And to you, sir. Universal says, did anyone hear about Skeleton Crew? The viewership numbers are below the all-time lowest viewed Acolyte show. $200 million total budget. More money laundering? LOL. Are you Joseph Ricci, Universal? Have you switched your name? Because this is what Joseph Ricci would always do. He'd come in the chat and report all the stuff. Anyway, Wrangler says Nathan Fillion is playing Guy Gardner, a Green Lantern who sports that exact same goofy haircut in the comics. Yes, I'm not literate on that aspect of the comic book lore. And honestly, so much is going on in that trailer. It kind of went by me. I didn't really pay much attention. I kind of thought he was just, it's the funny part. I actually thought he was a criminal who was like stealing something, and that was a kryptonite death ray. So it shows you what I know. Universal says the talking raccoon from Guardians was the best part. I mean, basically, yes. And I thought he would be the worst part. So that's my argument to you, Universal, that Crypto the dog could work. Could work. It's the same creative who made Rocket Raccoon work really well. In Guardians of the Galaxy, I think Crypto can work. This is a genuine question. Does Crypto talk in the comics? I honestly don't know. I don't understand. I don't know anything about Crypto. I really don't. I'd have to wiki it. Hashtag fake fan. No. Universal says, did you know that James Gunn's nickname on the set was Mr. Terrific, Rolling Eyes? Universal says, I like dogs, but I don't like Super Doggy. I mean, fair. That's fair. Universal says, we all want a good movie. Let me know when they make one. I'm shocked that Deadpool was allowed to be made. Yeah, and I will say Deadpool was even saddled with kind of some bullshit in Deadpool and Wolverine. Not a lot, because I think it was pretty much Ryan Reynolds' show, but there were some annoying things with the TVA in that recent film. Wrangler says, Samuel Adams, always a good decision. Truly. Star Fury says, how do all leftists seem to conveniently forget that slavery has existed everywhere at all times since the beginning of human history, and it is only the West that decided to stop seeing it as normal? Yes, they wring their hands about an institution, the transatlantic slave trade that ended over 100 years ago, but they refuse on principle to watch what the hell is it? Jim Caviezel. What's the name? What's the name of the movie that they made? Angel Studios. Oh bloody hell! I can't. It's gone completely out of my head. Sound of Freedom. That's it. I totally just blanked on the title. They're the same people that refuse on principle to watch The Sound of Freedom about modern day slavery while telling us all that we need to pay reparations for slavery that ended 100 years ago. That just shows you who exactly they are. They don't believe in anything. They believe in what the NPC patch tells them to believe in. And the second that becomes inconvenient, they'll abandon it. Kindness and fairness. Unless you're someone I don't like, then I wish you would never know peace. They make me sick. What do we got in the stack of stuff? Okay, let's check out the Nerdrotic video. Let's see what Nerdrotic thinks about the Superman trailer. Hat tip, Nerdrotic. I have not seen this. Share screen, Mr. Producer, if you would.
Nerdrotic.com.
Greetings, you over 1 million awakening wonders and the 40% who haven't subscribed yet. I think it's needless to say, but I'll say it anyway, that Superman is an important film, not just for DC, but for Hollywood. I don't think it's going out on a limb by saying that Warner Brothers has had a little bit of trouble grappling with the character of Superman in cinema in the recent past. It's not only
I will say this might be, and look, I have no issue with the red trunks. I'm fine with the red trunks, but I do like the Henry Cavill costume better because it looks like a kind of alien chainmail, and it just looks beautiful. So yeah, I prefer that costume.
Only the third reboot of this character in the last 20 years. This will be technically the third reboot of the DC universe in just over a decade. There was, of course, the ill-fated Snyderverse, and Zack still has a lot of his fans, but once Snyder was shown the door, they followed that up by bringing in Joss Whedon to create some kind of hodgepodge mutant zombie Snyderverse / MCU, largely run by incompetent executives who don't work for Warner Brothers anymore. Oh, and there's some honorable mentions like WB releasing the Snyder Cut on HBO Max, which was better than the version we saw in theaters, but it led to some unintended consequences like spreading false hope that Zack Snyder would return. There's the standalone Batman, which is now turned into its own universe due to the success of the brilliant Penguin show. How will it stay that way? I don't know, you don't know, and DC doesn't know. Then, of course, there was The Rock luring back Henry Cavill, and hopes were again reignited, and then immediately shot down when WB announced that James Gunn would be running DC, and his first act was to fire Henry Cavill. Despite some very upset Snyder fans, a lot of people were excited that James Gunn was taking over the DCU, and they couldn't wait to see what was next. Unfortunately, Warner Brothers still had 6 films to release, and they all flopped.
Wow. What a list. Black Adam, flop. Shazam, flop. The Flash, garbage. One of the worst movies of last year, quite frankly. Blue Beetle, crap. God, that movie was trash. Aquaman, You know, it almost was a good buddy love story, but it kind of failed. It was mostly pretty boring. You know, what was the name of his brother in that? I think it's Orm. I really liked the parts with him and Orm in Aquaman. Everything else, I didn't give a shit about. And then we have all the best one. Joker, Folie à Deux. Oh, what a piece of shit that movie is. The more I think about it, the more I hate it. How do you do that? How do you make 2 movies that are a character study of the Joker only to reveal that the character you've been studying for 2 movies is not the Joker? And then you name it the most pretentious thing you could possibly name it. Joker, Folie à Deux. It's almost as bad as Gladiator, Folie à Deux.
Which makes the canceled Batgirl the second most profitable DC film of the last 2 years next to Batman. And despite a couple of examples, their buddies down the street in Burbank, Disney Marvel haven't done the superhero film any favors of late.
Oh, God. Oh. You know, sometimes my greatest failing on this channel My greatest failing as a YouTube critic, let's just face it, it's my objectivity. It's my moral character. It's my unfailing ethical commitment to be fair. Fairness of all things. Because the reality is, I should have gone harder on this Agatha. I should have gone harder on Skeleton Crew. This crap is garbage. What the hell is this? There is no. I try to be as fair as I can, and I have to say, well, is there theoretically a possible way that you could have a kind of niche TV series about witches in the MCU that could work, I guess, in the hands of skilled and clever writers? But the reality is that's being too kind. This is one of the stupidest ideas for a Marvel show ever. It is the dumbest idea. A bunch of wine-drinking cat lady hens LARPing as comic book writers. It's insane. It's a disgrace. And then we have Skeleton Crew. If I have to hear one more time, just one more time. Oh, it's fine. It's made for kids. It's just a kid show. I really hate that stupid argument. It's crap. It's boring. It's drivel. And if I was a kid, I wouldn't like it. Because when I was a kid, I didn't like shit like Skeleton Crew. I liked MacGyver. I liked Star Trek The Next Generation. That's what I liked when I was a kid. I did not like a bunch of dumb idiot kids. Oh, look, let's bang on this. Oh, no, the ship flew away. It's trash. It's an insult to children to say that the reason Skeleton Crew gets a pass is because it's for children. Folks, these are stupid people running these studios. Stupid human beings that eat large quantities of glue. Roll tape.
Oh, shut up, silly woman.
So as many in the media, and to be fair, a lot of
Vagina.
fans start talking about the dreaded superhero fatigue, which, if that were true, would more likely be a symptom of overall Hollywood fatigue. Can Superman save the superhero film? Or more importantly, can Superman save Hollywood? And now that I've seen the trailer, I'm at a very definitive I don't know. Is it fair that the fans might have had some unrealistically high expectations for this trailer? Yes. Is it fair to DC and James Gunn that the fans' unrealistically high expectations were not met with this trailer, leading to some fans being concerned? Yes, with the full understanding that this is a teaser trailer and in no way tells you how good the movie will actually be, we can only go off of what we're given, and we're going to do what fans do, give our opinion whether people like it or not. The trailer opens up with a beaten and bloody Superman being saved by Crypto. No, not that kind of Crypto. Crypto, the super dog.
Crypto. Home. Take me home.
Now, some people might find Crypto a bit cheesy, but I think it's very Superman, aside from the fact that James Gunn based Crypto on his own dog and we have more unnecessary breed swapping in Hollywood. I like the scene, and hey.
Now, Ryan Cannell, the angriest man on the internet. The angriest man on the internet said he was glad they didn't race swap the dog. He's glad they didn't race swap the dog. But I did not know that they swapped the breed. I don't know anything about Crypto from the comics, so I'm very curious what Gary has to say here.
Crypto's still white. To state the obvious, first impressions are everything with a trailer like this, and a lot of the first initial reactions I saw were it's a bit busy, and they're not wrong.
Yes.
Now, while Crypto is saving Superman,
That's my number one critique. Do we really need all that shit? Look at all that shit.
Intercut some scenes from Metropolis, including Clark Kent.
Yeah, I like this shot. I like this shot a lot. This makes me think of the Christopher Reeve Clark Kent. Henry Cavill's Clark Kent was too, he was too normal, quite frankly. He wasn't nerdy enough. That was the problem. He's kind of like, He basically was like a super eligible bachelor Clark Kent. And that's not how Clark Kent's supposed to be. Clark Kent is supposed to be, socially awkward, kind of a nerd, the last guy on Earth you'd ever think was Superman.
With that muffin head Edgar haircut that makes him look like Hassan Piker. That's going to date your film.
I'm Hassan Piker, and this is Bro Tip.
A real job doesn't suck the soul out of you in the same way that 9 hours of streaming absolutely will.
Oh my God, what a dumbass. What a dumbass. Oh my kingdom. If I had to sit here for 9 hours entertaining you, my dear sailors and starnuts, there could be no better job ever. What a loser.
We get a quick shot of Pruitt Taylor Vince as Pa Kent. This guy is usually cast as some sort of psychopath. But
this is a huge... I did not know for sure if this was the actor. This is a big problem. This is the worst casting of Jonathan Kent literally ever. Literally ever. This is the worst casting of... What are they thinking? This is ludicrous. You know what? I did not go over this in my critique, and that was an oversight on my part.
They were looking for an act.
I mean, quite frankly, Kevin Costner and Diane Lane were the best casting of the Kents for me ever. I really liked Kevin Costner and Diane Lane as the Kents.
Actor who looks most likely to die of a heart attack. That's your guy. Oh, that's mean. Oh. But there is some good. I like Crypto. The Daily Planet looks like the Daily Planet.
I'm with Gary on this. I'm okay with Crypto. I think this can work. I really do. I really do.
Lois Lane, played by Rachel Brosnahan, looks like Lois Lane, and holy shit, Jimmy
I mean, there is something kind of beautiful and inspiring about a guy who's like, he's crashed and burned. He's all beat to shit. He's like, Crypto, get me home. It's like his dog is bailing him out. It's awesome. It's awesome. There are real stories, like real news stories I've seen of like this woman had a pit bull and she was going on a walk next to the railroad tracks and she fainted from some kind of medical condition or whatever. And she landed on the railroad tracks unconscious. And there was a train coming. There's a real news story. This pit bull dragged her off of the railroad tracks and lost a leg in the process, but saved her life. And the dog survived, but lost a leg because he got clipped by the train. It's a beautiful story. So I'm okay with this film going there, Roll tape. Hang on, Mr. Producer. I lost my interface. Oh, there it is. Thank you.
Wilson's white, but Perry White is not. My absolute favorite shot of the trailer is this.
Yes.
And I completely agree with our good friend and prolific comic writer, Mark Millar. Yes, I recently found out it's Miller, but I'm too old to change my ways. When he clearly states the difference between Superman and Batman. Coolest shot in the trailer. Batman fights dudes, Superman rescues people. And I think if there was more of the saving people in this trailer, it might have had more emotional impact. Instead, we get a bunch of quick cuts that try to introduce more characters, which is a concern, and try to give us a feel of the trailer, which I don't necessarily think we get. There's a kid raising a flag to Superman, which I liked. There's a group of angry people and one guy throwing something at Superman. Now, in the world of Superman, it certainly makes sense that there would be large groups of people who don't like him at first. My only concern is, within this movie, what type of people don't like Superman? It certainly works within the comics. There will be large groups of people who are very suspicious of this superpowered individual. But is James Gunn, Peter Safran, Warner Brothers, and Hollywood overall going to be able to resist the urge to make them a stand-in for example, MAGA? I don't think James Gunn is that stupid, but time will tell. Then there's all the other characters. One we expect, Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, and he looks pretty good. There's Hawk Girl, minus some points for that terrible costume, but add some more for fighting a monster. Mr. Terrific looks good. There's Metamorpho, and what I suspect the most people will be talking about besides Crypto is Guy Gardner, played by Nathan Fillion, and his haircut. To be fair, it's pretty close to the one in the comics. They just decided to dial it up to 11. We see Luthor Corp before it becomes Lex Corp. We get to see the Fortress of Solitude. At least I think so, because it looks awfully familiar to the Christopher Reeve Fortress of Solitude. I thought the trailer overall was all right. It didn't hurt itself, but it also didn't dispel any of my concerns. One of them being too many characters taking away from what should be just a good solo Superman film. And that goes along with the counting your chickens before they're hatched, announcing an entire universe when you should just be focusing on a solo Superman film and making it really good.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, that's my main issue. That's my main issue. Are we doing another Justice League setup movie, or are we doing a Superman movie? What are we doing? When are these dumbasses going to get it? You have got to let go of the incessant addiction to creating content. We need content. We need shared universes. We need all this crap. You don't need all this crap. This is the Lucasfilm problem. What do I always say? If I were put in charge of rehabilitating Star Wars, what would I do? Decanonize the entire Disney series of films and shows. But aside from that, I would do one film. It would be a simple, straightforward. Simple does not mean it wouldn't be powerful and meaningful and have an original story, but it would be a back to basics Golden Fleece story with new characters that honored the legacy of the previous saga. And that film would be designed to be a standalone film with a hook for the rest of the trilogy and future adventures. But all of the focus would be on making that film and its characters stick. All of the focus would be on making that film and its characters really crush it and really knock it out of the park. In fact, I'm watching with my cousin again the Star Wars Machete Order, and tonight I think we're going to do Revenge of the Sith. So we're almost at the end of the saga. We're doing Revenge of the Sith soon. And one of the things that struck me rewatching Han Solo and Leia and everything is that, the original Star Wars film was not about a smuggler and a Jedi and a princess. It was about three interesting characters. And what's weird about Disney is now every single Lucasfilm, well, we have to have a smuggler. We have to have a rogue smuggler, or we have to have a rogue pirate type, because that's what Han Solo was. And we have to have someone who's like in the government, like a senator, like a Leia or an Amidala, because that's also in Star Wars. And we have to have a Jedi, and the Jedi has to be it's like, why do we need all that shit? Why don't we just create characters that live in this universe that are unique and new and interesting? They don't have to be smugglers or Jedi. They can just be something different. That's what's kind of striking me about watching it wasn't like Lucas said, I have to have a smuggler character. It was, no, who is the man that they find that can take them to Alderaan? That was the question Lucas was answering with the Han Solo character. That he was a smuggler had to do with his personal backstory. So the problem is they are obsessed with constantly jumping the shark and doing too much. And it's like, just make a fucking Superman movie. Just make a Superman movie. What's the matter with you? Oh no, we're going to do Creature Commandos and we're going to do all this other shit. Stop trying to do the trick shot when you have not yet mastered the slap shot. Do you see what I'm saying?
Biggest concern remains putting the authority in the DC universe where they don't belong. But there was a lot I liked, including David Corenswet, who looks like Superman, and I like most of the costume except for that stupid collar. And there's romance. Heteronormative romance between a man and a woman in a Hollywood-produced superhero film. We don't see that often, and I like a lot of what I'm hearing about this movie from the people actually creating it. I like that the poster says, "Look up." I love that they're talking about a hopeful and optimistic Superman, including producer Peter Safran saying this: Superman represents truth, justice, and the American way, which is a far cry from what we...
I mean, come on, chat. Universal, Starfury, at all. I mean, that's got to give you some encouragement, doesn't it? I mean, listen, saying truth, justice, optimism, hope, all that, that wouldn't be all that encouraging, but specifically to say the American way, do you understand? That is a massive thing. That is a massive thing for a Hollywood producer to say, because they live in a industry that hates the American way and thinks it's evil and the problem in the world. In fact, they think the American way is antithetical to truth and justice, but they love to play Hamilton. Hamilton's not going to throw away his shot, and he's proof that America's such a good country, but they hate the American way. So the fact that you have Peter Safran saying this publicly, truth, justice, and the American way, I'm just saying that's very encouraging. That's very encouraging. Doesn't mean it's going to succeed. And hey, I might sound like a fence sitter here. I really am not. I'm just saying this is what we have to go off of right now.
We've gotten in the comics and recently in film, because it seems like Hollywood and most people writing these days have a hard time figuring out Superman because he's good, and most people in Hollywood wouldn't know what that is. And in the past, both comic publisher and movie producer has seemed apologetic about Superman. Now, James Gunn has said that this movie is going to be a self-contained story that doesn't lead or spread off anywhere else, which is good. We'll see if he sticks to that. He also
But then why are there dinosaurs and Hawk Girl and Green Lanterns and Mr. Terrific? Why is all that shit in there? That's my question.
also said he's going to embrace all of the Superman mythology, which is great unless he embraces some of the mythology from the last few years in the comics, which would be very bad. James Gunn also said this: "We do have a battered Superman in the beginning," he said, referring to the opening of the teaser, and he implied the opening of the film itself, with Superman careening into the ice. That is our country. I believe in the goodness of human beings, and I believe that most people in this country, despite their ideological beliefs, their politics, are doing their best to get by and be good people. That sounds great, but he does continue. Despite what it may seem like to the other side, no matter what that other side might be, this movie is about that. It's about the basic kindness of human beings, and that it can be seen as uncool and under siege by some of the darker voices or some of the louder voices. Now, what does James Gunn mean about some of the darker voices or louder voices? Your guess is as good as mine. That statement has led some to speculate on X Twitter that those louder and darker voices might be a stand-in for a certain group of people in this country that just so happens to represent more than half of it that Hollywood hasn't had a very good relationship with lately. I'm not going to go that far because, again, I don't think James Gunn's that stupid, but you have every right to your speculation because Hollywood does not deserve the benefit of the doubt. But
Agreed.
I would be remiss if I didn't point out what James Gunn said later in the Variety article. "I'm excited for people to get to see the essence of what we're doing because it's really been like this private secret we've all been hoarding," he said. "We felt really good about it, like from a moral place. Even from the beginning, we felt like we were doing something good, both in terms of quality and in terms of actually something that's not a fascistic power fantasy." Something Variety points out that he instantly regrets saying. "I'm not saying that about other superhero movies in general," he added, as if anticipating the displeasure that sentiment might spark in the hardcore fans of Zack Snyder's DC films, which has been criticized for indulging in, well, fascistic power fantasies. Personally, I find the kind of people who say fascistic and fascist often in their vocabulary unironically authoritarian, but I digress. Listen.
Agreed. Yeah, that they don't actually understand what fascism is. Like, there was a great rant that Tim Pool went on. He went off on this leftist who's like, I want all the January 6ers to be in prison forever, you know. And he was Tim Pool just pointed out, you don't actually know the facts of any of the cases, because he didn't. He was unprepared. He didn't know any of it. He just didn't care. And he said, you believe that the justice system, no matter what, is right, and that whatever it pronounces is therefore right, which is itself a fascistic idea. In other words, never questioning the state is a specifically fascist ideology. So yeah, I totally agree with what Gary's saying there. Whenever someone starts talking about fascism, you know what? It's in Hollywood. That's immediately a red flag. Immediately a red flag. So,
having sold comic books to DC fans for over 10 years, I know one thing: they are far more passionate than Marvel fans. So good luck, James Gunn, dealing with what you're going to have to deal with. It comes with the territory. And yes, we are just talking about a teaser trailer. And yes, people are going to be meticulously breaking this down for the next week. We're nerds. It's what we do. To give you an example of a perfect teaser trailer, which just came out within the last couple of weeks, 28 days later, and it was simple. It gave you a feel for the film, the emotional tone, while giving nothing away. The Superman trailer tried to do that, but it just missed. But it did pull off the most important thing. it looks hopeful. And that's what we could all use. And timing is everything. It certainly helped the first Spider-Man movie by Sam Raimi post 9/11.
Yes! Oh, man! I love that! Oh, I miss the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie. Those are the Spider-Man films. They really are.
We helped the first Spider-Man movie by Sam Raimi post 9/11.
Beautiful that is. Look at how beautiful that is.
11.
You do too much. You're not Superman, you know.
Since Alan Moore's Watchmen, the superhero has been thoroughly deconstructed and then deconstructed some more, and we are far past time to reconstruct the superhero.
Yes.
And going back to our original question, can this
Reconstruct.
movie save Hollywood? Not so sure about that, but I do think it's fitting that the fate of DC Studios and the superhero film will be determined by Superman. No pressure, James Gunn.
Nerdrotic.com.
Nicely put. Very nicely put. That would be Nerdrotic hat tip. Nerdrotic. Mr. Producer. Nicely put. To you, my dear chat. Let's see here. So much going on. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Skunk's Workshop. Okay, I'm sorry, Fuban Blue. That went right over my head. You were referring to Jesse Eisenberg's. It's just, for some reason, the name Jesse without Eisenberg, I couldn't pick it up. Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. Yeah, awful. Just awful. Nothing about that was good. Absolutely nothing. Star of Harity says, how do all leftists seem to conveniently forget that slavery's existed everywhere? Yes, I think we got that one. I went too far back in the chat. But yes, a good point as usual. Star of Harity says, there are more slaves in Africa now than has existed in America throughout its history. Perhaps. Perhaps indeed. He says, actually, that guy in the video is wrong. Jim Lee still works at DC. Get your facts before you make a video. Are you referring to Nerdrotic's video? I mean, yeah, there's probably... I never see a YouTube video that doesn't have an error in it somewhere. So, I mean, that may well be the case. Gunn didn't fire Cavill. Cavill let his contract expire. Well, okay, here's what I would say, Universal. In Hollywood, that's how you fire someone. You let them know, we're not interested. We're not going to be making any movies with you. And then Cavill lets his contract expire. That's, it just doesn't work like literally step into my office. You're fucking fired. That's typically not how it's done. I think how it's done is we're going a different direction. And so if you ask me, Henry Cavill was fired. He was fired because Gunn may not have said you're actually fired. What he said was, we're not making any Superman movies with you. That's what he said. And then he went on Twitter and publicly said, we're going a different direction. We want a younger Superman. Cavill's been great, but we're going a different way. What is that if not firing the star of your Superman movies? I'm not a fan of how James Gunn has handled shit. I really am not. I don't like... He's been very confusing. He's really had no clear vision on almost anything. He cannot establish... Like, are we even going to get another Matt Reeves Batman movie? I don't know. If so, that is to say, if not, why do we have this Penguin series? I really enjoyed the Penguin series, but I have no idea whether it has any bearing whatsoever on the DC universe. So on the one hand, they're constantly trying to shoehorn all of these new characters into a Superman film while also being completely confusing about where any of these other films fit into the universe. Either do a universe or don't. But there needs to be a specific vision. And I just feel like if James Gunn is not going to give a straight answer, he should shut the fuck up. That's what he should do. Star Fury says, there was a United Nations report that made an estimate of how many current slaves are currently in Africa continent. And when you compare it to the most conservative estimate of how many slaves were brought to America, the current numbers in Africa are greater. I will let you gentlemen fight that out. That's interesting. Universal says slavery is wrong, plain and simple. Yeah, most of the time. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I appreciate the statement, Universal. I mean, I agree. The problem is, you know, in the world we live in, a statement like that is like, do you agree with this? It's like, well, everybody who's not an immoral scumbag agrees with that. Uh, but yes, you're right. You're right. Uh, what else do we have in the chat? Universal says everyone today's word of the day is I don't know. I mean, pretty much. Yeah, we kind of with this Superman trailer, we can't really say whether the film's going to be good or not. I have no earthly idea. It could really go either way for me. I see a lot of content bloat with the introduction of these characters. On the other hand, I like Crypto. I like the kid raising the flag and calling out for Superman. I love the shot of Superman saving the girl. I love all the shots of Superman, smooching with Lois Lane. I think that's all great. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say, Universal, whether we're going to get a good film or not. Wrangler says, I gotta run. Have a good night. Well, good night, Wrangler. Thanks for stopping by. Merry Christmas to you, my good man. Universal says, guy wearing a Rolex hat trying to be cool. LOL. Star Fury says, Lois and Clark's mom and dad are the best ever. Interesting. I watched that show. That show was just too. It was just too melodrama for me. It was too much of a soap opera. It was all about the kids and you're talking about like Lois and Clark's mom and dad. So the New Adventures of Superman, not the what's the one that's on HBO? Superman and Lois. Okay, I was thinking of Superman and Lois. You're thinking of Lois and Clark, which is a great show. Yes, the Kents were good in that. The Kents were really good in that. I like that rendition. I also really love the actor who played Clark's father in Smallville. I really liked him a lot. I thought he was a great Jonathan Kent. But yeah, it's such a shame that Zack Snyder is such a unreliable creative because some elements of his vision were great. I really loved how he humanized young Clark Kent with his, trying to learn his powers and being able to see X-ray vision through everyone and how terrifying that was, being able to hear everything, having his mother come to school and have to help him navigate that. Then you had that amazing, touching moment with Kevin Costner's Jonathan Kent when when Clark says, can't we just pretend that I'm your son? And he says, you are my son. It's like moments like that were really humanizing and powerful. On the other hand, you had the absolute insanity of Clark Kent having to let his father die in a tornado, which is one of the worst things ever. But then you had General Zod, played by the magnificent Michael Shannon, and that was awesome. So it sucks that Zack Snyder is such an inconsistent creative, and he missed it. It just shows you how easily you can miss it with the character of Superman. And James Gunn is by no means out of the woods. We will see how it goes. Yeah, I got you, Starfear. I figured it out. It's because that other show, Superman and Lois, I was thinking of that one. But no, yeah, the Dean Cain one is awesome. I loved that show as a kid. I absolutely loved it. Universal says Joker did well on the Max platform, but didn't do well on any overall charts except for the final episode. It's 50-50 if it gets a second season. Are you talking about Penguin? You said Joker did well on Max. I think you're talking about Penguin, you mean. Depends on what Zaslav decides. Look, I'm fine whether we get another Penguin show or not. If we get another season, great. If we don't get another season, great. I really don't. I think it... Universal says, love Terry Hatcher as Lois. Yeah, she is the best Lois. Terry Hatcher is the best Lois Lane. And Dean Cain as Superman. Loved Lois and Clark show. Everyone did. That show was awesome. It was... dude, the Lex Luthor in that show is awesome. Lex Luthor that might be the best rendition of Lex Luthor ever, is the one in that show. Because he's kind of... he's a very suave businessman, but he's also just a guy who is... like his whole life is about being the most powerful man in the world. That's just basically his goal. And everything in his life is oriented towards being just the master of all that he surveys. And the fact that Superman exists is a challenge to that. And so he becomes Superman's enemy just because he has to be. In order for him to maintain his control over everything, he can't have Superman running around. So it's awesome. And he tests him. He creates all these experiments to test and learn his abilities. I love it. The Superman or the Lex Luthor in that show, Lois and Clark, was awesome. Kevin is in the chat and says, I notice people celebrate when black film from Disney bomb at the box office. Can you give me an example, Kevin? I don't know about that, but what I can tell you is I do celebrate when a bad film bombs at the box office. I do a lot of that. You might call it a little bit of box office grave dancing. Listen, let me put it to you as simply as I can, Kevin. And please, by all means, cite some examples. I'd love to talk about them. We'll see what I think about your examples also, because I'm open to your thoughts on this. But what I would say is bad stories, bad work product, when we're talking about films and TV shows, they deserve to fail. And as Henry Cavill so accurately put it, a fan has a right, any audience member of any kind has a right to their opinion, no matter what it is. So, yeah, I think the issue here, Kevin, is you're not being specific about, like, you say you notice when black film from Disney bomb at the box office. I mean, I think what we have here is a confusion of causation versus correlation, right? They're not the same thing. Think of it this way. When you, as a creative company, let's take Disney specifically, and you adopt the mentality of DEI, that would be diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is at its core a racist philosophy because it literally seeks to judge everyone by their skin color and their marginalized class and so forth. And you decide that that is more important than hiring credentialed, proven writers, credentialed, proven actors, casting the right person for the role rather than the right race for the role. And then you create a bunch of shows which have forced diversity. And so, of course, all these shows created with this philosophy of we need less white people and more black people or more whatever. And you create a bunch of shows on this philosophy written by untalented people who don't know what the hell they're doing and have no business behind a camera or in a writer's room or in a casting room. And then the fans predictably react to this bad storytelling as bad. Do you see how there's a correlation there? But that's not the cause. The cause is bad writing and bad creatives who have no actual vision. Of course, people are going to celebrate. You know something? We have a right to celebrate when bad Star Wars fails. We have a right to celebrate that. I celebrate that. You know why? Because Star Wars is a very important story to me. It's a very beautiful story. That would be the original 6 films, the prequels and the original trilogy. And I take offense. I take offense when bad writers release trash like The Acolyte, for example. The Acolyte is morally depraved, reprehensible trash. The fact that there are black and Asian actors in it is totally irrelevant to me. That's totally irrelevant. That has nothing to do with why it's bad. Other than it's a symptom of the same, woke mind virus crap that resulted in a bunch of mediocre people like Leslie Headland, who have no business running a show. Other than that, it's totally irrelevant to why the show is bad. So, honest to God, I appreciate you commenting in the chat. I don't understand the mindset of someone who drops a statement like that in a chat, but then doesn't want to say anything else. I don't understand that. Why would you do it? Why would you say a very vague statement about, I notice that people bag on black film from Disney and then not want to engage in a debate about it. It disappoints me. It disappoints me. But thank you for joining the chat. Lurk if you wish. You're welcome on the channel. I appreciate having you here. But you kind of just did the I'm just going to leave this here and walked away. You left us all hanging, man. You left us all hanging. You can't just I'm not going to say this is what you're saying because I don't know what you're saying because you weren't very specific, Kevin. But there is possibly a very nasty little implication in that statement. I'll put it on the screen here, what we're talking about. I notice people celebrate when black film from Disney bomb at the box office. Well, you haven't even really said what your opinion of that is. Maybe you think that's a good thing. Maybe you think that we should celebrate when black films from Disney bomb at the box office. We should. And you do too. That could be what you mean. So I don't know. I literally don't know what your opinion is here. But it's possible. It sounds a lot like what the Shills say, which is, gee, the only reason people didn't like The Acolyte is because black people were in it. And that is a very naughty thing to say about your fellow humans because it is a way of passive-aggressively implying that anyone who criticizes the show is a racist. Now, that's a pretty mean-spirited thing to say to someone, especially without any evidence, examples, or receipts. So this is my very kind and gentle way of saying, like, I don't like that. I don't like that. You're going to make an implication. Make your implication. Make your case. Get in the chat, mix it up, let's have it out, friend. Universal says, John made a cult classic called Attack the Block, a major cult film with a major cult following. John is a good... Are you talking about John Boyega? John is a good actor. Star Wars destroyed him, and John has publicly acknowledged that several times. I you know what? I tried to watch that movie, Universal. It's not my cup of tea. I don't know. It just... I know people like that film, and that's great. I don't actually really have an opinion because I didn't finish it. It just wasn't winning me over, But I agree with you that John Boyega is a fantastic actor. Finn was the most interesting new character in the Disney sequel trilogy, and they ruined him completely by turning him into an incompetent boob. But aside from that, listen, could it be that John Boyega deeply regrets getting involved with Disney? Yes, of course, and well, he should. Disney is career cancer at this point. Avoid like skim milk, as Ron Swanson would say. But what I would say is a professional is going to face problems in their career. They are going to face defeats. They are going to face... They're going to be part of bad projects that fail. That is going to happen. You cannot be an actor, a director, a writer ever and expect that you're only going to, crap out golden eggs. That's not how it's going to go. You are going to face humiliation. You're going to face criticism. You are going to, at some point, be part of a stinker. It's part of the job. And the professional takes responsibility for that and accepts the fact that, like, hey, I was in a stinker. It sucks. We move on. So if he's really crying that, like, Star Wars ruined his whole career, I don't really have a lot of time for that. I think that's a whiny amateur argument, and he should adopt the professional mindset that, like, hey, that didn't work out. Also, I am part of a career that very few people will ever have an opportunity to be in. My focus should be on the work. My focus should be on, get in the next movie and make it awesome. Like, you get back to work. If that's really how John Boyega feels, his attitude should be time to get back to work. So I don't really have a lot of patience for Eddie, especially, Star Trek actors used to be famous for this. Star Trek actors like Denise Crosby, a great example. They complain that they're typecast in Star Trek, and I don't want to be in Star Trek forever and ever. And then they try and go on and have illustrious careers as, somewhere else, and they don't have an illustrious career. And it's like, well, maybe you should just be grateful that you're part of Star Trek and that you have legions of fans that love your character and love what you do. And maybe, you should have some gratitude for that. On the other hand, if you leave Star Trek, take some ownership of the fact that you're taking a risk and it may not work out, but that's the work and that's the job. And my feeling, and look, I don't begrudge either choice, but what I'm saying is, I just don't have a lot of time for this whining that, oh, I'm typecast. Oh, that this ruined my reputation. Oh, they'll only ever see me as Finn or whatever it is. That's the job. That's the job. Do you want it or not? Is what I would say. What else is in the stack of stuff, my dear sailors and starnauts? We ain't done yet. Not by a damn sight. Not by a damn sight. Where is my stack of stuff playlist, Mr. Producer? Yes, the full playlist, if you please. Yes, we have to cover this story. We have to cover this story. It's a delay of game. Okay. Hat tip Ryan Cannell, the angriest man on the internet. It turns out, oh my God, fucking YouTube is driving me crazy. It's inside baseball. You don't need to know, chat. You load up a video and then it moves the skip. There's a button to skip to the next video and it moves slightly to the right as the video loads. And I kept hitting it. Dang it. All right, share screen. So, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is beating the absolute crap out of Mufasa, which makes me very, very happy. That makes me very happy. Here we go. So let's hear about this from Ryan Cannell, the angriest man on the internet. I think his name is pronounced Kennel, but I like saying Cannell because that's how Chris Gore says it. And I feel like it would annoy him. So...
As soon as Disney saw that their soulless live action, which was really all CGI remake of The Lion King, made a ton of money for them, $1.6 billion back in 2019, they immediately asked themselves, hey, we got to double down on this success, even if there's really not a story to tell there. So they announced that they would be doing another Lion King movie. This time it'd be a prequel all about Mufasa. But unfortunately for them, 2024 is very different than 2019. And the audience in general is very tired of these soulless live action, really just terrible CGI remakes of animated classics. So when the first few trailers came out for Mufasa, it didn't go very well for them. The audience made it very, very clear that they're sick and tired of this shit. In fact, that first Mufasa teaser trailer had over 300,000 dislikes to 163,000 likes. It got obliterated. And now, as we're getting closer and closer to the release, just a day away at this point, another movie that's in the box office, another franchise, this time for Paramount, but a franchise that's not spending nearly the amount of money to make their movies as Disney is. It looks like they're going to take them down, at least here in the United States. Christmas box office, Sonic 3 tracking to open ahead of Lion King prequel Mufasa. This was several weeks ago, almost a month ago, when we heard the initial tracking numbers that said it looks like Sonic 3 might actually beat this thing out, at least when it comes to the opening weekend. And now here we are, a day away, and it certainly still seems like that. Weekend preview, Sonic 3 pacing ahead of Mufasa to the top of the box office.
Get him! Get him, Sonic! Yes! Screw Disney! They suck!
Now, there are some fairly conservative estimates about there that, hey, Sonic will do 60 million and Mufasa's going to do 50 million. You also have some higher ones out here. Here's the range right now when it comes to Sonic 3 from Box Office Pro. They're projecting a $70 to $85 million opening for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, where when you go to Mufasa the Lion King, they're talking about 50 to 65 million. Now, to put this in perspective, the Lion King 2019 opened to nearly $200 million just domestically.
Wow, that's an impressive statistic. So the first Mufasa film, $200 million opening. And this one, the second one, is, or sorry, the Lion King live action, $200 million opening. Mufasa is tracking for about 50 million. That's a quarter. 20, that's a 75% decline.
It was $190+ million for the original Lion King CGI that they fucking did 5 years ago. This is looking to be maybe a third of what that movie made, while Sonic 3 looks to have a lot of very, very positive momentum, at least from the fan base. Now, when it comes to global numbers, that might be another story. Sonic is not even releasing internationally yet. All of their releases are set internationally for Christmas. So Mufasa the Lion King could potentially have a $180 million global opening. When it's all said and done, I really do think that Mufasa will have bigger international numbers than something like Sonic. But the thing is, depending on how much money these movies go on to make, they can make the same amount of money. Say they make $500 million. And one will be considered a success. The other would be considered a complete and total fucking failure. Because the truth is, when it comes to these Sonic movies, the production budgets are usually around $90 million. It's way easier to make a profit when you're making a movie for that much money. Whereas Mufasa the Lion King is rumored to be in the $200 to $250 million range for that production budget, which meant if both these movies make $500 million, Sonic is profitable, Mufasa's a flop. $600 million, Sonic is profitable, Mufasa could still potentially be a flop. So we'll see what happens, but right now, it looks like almost a lock that despite being a follow-up to a $1.6 billion movie from Disney, despite the massive Disney marketing machine, Sonic the Hedgehog is set to take down Mufasa at the box office this weekend. Personally, as someone who didn't think anything, and I thought it was a soulless piece of shit, that Lion King 2019, not interested in watching Mufasa, a prequel to that, more soulless CGI bullshit. But I am interested in Sonic 3. I liked the first two movies. I wasn't in love with them. I don't think they're amazing or anything, but I liked them. I enjoyed them. Could use less people than there were in the second one. I didn't like a lot of the plots that had too much to do with that stupid wedding and nonsensical stuff like that didn't need to be in the movie. But this one, I have high hopes for Sonic 3, and I hope that it can take down Mufasa at the box office.
I mean, that would be Ryan Cannell, the angriest man on the internet. Hat tip, Ryan Cannell. I really, I appreciate how charming and lovable the Sonic movies are. But yes, they're not like the greatest films of all time. But you know something? They tell a heartwarming little story. I really think the character of Tom, Donut Lord, Tom, played by James Marsden, is such an important character in it because he's got this father-son relationship with Sonic, and that really gives the story a lot of heart. And I think that's what really works well. And Shadow's story in the third Sonic is fantastic. I really liked it. I want to find, let's see, Box Office Mojo. Let's just see how they're tracking right now because I'm very curious about this. Sonic the Hedgehog 3, as of today, is at $16.7 million. Mufasa is at 9.9. 9.9. Not good. Let's do the weekly, or no, weekly. Weekly box office. By week. We got Moana 2. This is weird. I don't read through this site very often. Let's just do this. We'll go to Sonic the Hedgehog 3. The one character in Sonic, though, that kind of annoys me is Knuckles. He's kind of annoying to me. I suppose he's supposed to be. I suppose. It's looking like around 62 million right now. Not bad. All right, now Mufasa. I really hate these Disney live action remakes. I hate all of them in principle. Like, make something new. they're just IP mining their own IPs. That's what they're doing. They're just trying to remake them so that they can hold on to the rights. So about 35 million domestic. Sonic is beating him. Get him, Sonic. Get him. That makes me very happy. And back to me. Do you like my Christmas cabin, chat? It's cozy, isn't it? I decorated the tree myself. Mr. Producer helped a little with the tree and the roaring fire. Kevin, oh gee, okay. Thanks for proving exactly who you are, Kevin. Thanks for telling me exactly who you are. White folks like you love to use excuses. What excuses? What? Clearly, we're dealing with a wacko. Wacko alert! Wacko alert! Excuses for what? You're not even making an argument. Welcome to the chat. Enjoy stuff, Hitty. Enjoy, yes. That'll be fun for you. Let's see. Where else were I said give me an example. Make your case, man. You've got the floor. Make your case. What do we white folks, you very not racist person, what do we white folks make excuses for? Yeah, I'm just trying to help you out, man. You sound kind of deranged, if you ask me. Universal says, just read Superman 2025 production budget is $364 million. How much more will be added when the marketing budget is added? 450? This movie has to make $1 billion to be profitable. Wow. Yeah, it's going to be a shit show. Skunk's Workshop says, Knuckles represents strength and masculinity, something sorely needed in today's culture. It's just a personal preference thing. I like Knuckles. He's pretty cool, but like he just gets annoying sometimes, you know? but then again, it's just kind of the nature of the beast with these because they're kind of cartoons. They're sort of cartoon stories, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just it's a personal preference thing. So I did see Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and I will say a couple of the strengths of the film are definitely Keanu Reeves. Like I really liked how he played Shadow very straight, very down the middle, because Sonic and Knuckles and Tails are all very peppy and they're very light, jokey characters. I like how Shadow is very serious and severe, and I thought that worked out really well. And Keanu just was fantastic doing his voice. And they gave him a backstory that was, you know, it really aligned well with Sonic's backstory. And that was pretty beautiful. So I like that a lot. Now, I will tell you, Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik and his grandfather, Professor Robotnik, or whatever he is, they are, I mean, this was maximum Jim Carrey. They were so funny. And they really helped save the movie a lot. So I quite liked the movie. Like the first two, it's very charming. It's family oriented. There are some really fun action sequences I like a lot. I would give it an 8 out of 10. I would give it an 8 out of 10 for Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I'm happy. I think these movies show a great work ethic and a great love for the audience. And there is something to be said about a movie that just loves its fans and just loves the character of Sonic. You know, the thing I love most about Sonic is he is a hero. He's like basically a kid. That's basically what he is. He's like a kid that wants to be like the best hero he can be. And he wants to do good things and he wants to be a good son for the family, but he likes to win races. And he's got his vices. He's got his cocky streak. There's some great moments in the film where, you know, he refuses to give up that are pretty awesome. And there's a moment where he kind of starts to go down a dark path. And there's some great moral lessons in the story. So it's definitely a great movie for kids. It's like definitely one of the ones you can put your kids in front of, and it's going to be a great movie for them. And I've heard some say that like Jim Carrey's jokes were just a little bit too adult. And it's like, no worse than a Pixar movie, if you ask me, because I feel like almost any movie where there's an element of comedy, There's the comedy that sort of goes over the kids' heads and is aimed at the adults, but it'll still be funny for the kids because it's Jim Carrey doing it. I think they can handle it. I don't think he does anything that's over the line. I mean, most of the humor is pretty safe, but it is Jim Carrey being weird. Like, there's a lot of Jim Carrey being weird. Now, I will tell you this. Here's why Dr. Robotnik, as played by Jim Carrey, being weird, does not subvert the story taking itself seriously. And that's because right from the beginning, Robotnik is established as he's an eccentric. He's basically an eccentric genius who knows he's a genius. He starts out as a government contractor in the first film who winds up becoming an enemy of the government and of Sonic and everyone else. And as he has sustained defeats at the hands of Sonic, because, he wasn't used to being ever defeated in the first film, so Sonic is the first character that's ever come along and defeated him multiple times, and it's driven him to a kind of, he's gone from eccentric to basically insane. And a lot of the comedy flows naturally from who he is as a character, which is he is an egomaniac, he's maniacal, he is obsessed with himself and his own genius. And so much of what he's doing that appears weird or odd is because that's who he is. He's a weird, odd, evil genius, and it works. And it's basically what I'm saying is it's consistent with the character and who he is as a character for him to behave this way. So it's why the film seems to take itself seriously, even though he's such a there's a lot of comedy involved with the character. So I like Dr. Robotnik a lot. It kind of saves the movie for me because he just makes it so much fun. So yeah, big recommend for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and the theaters were pretty full too. So, and I think, and the kids were having a great time in the theater. They were having a great time with this movie. I was probably having too much fun with it, to be honest, because I'm telling you, there are some things with Jim Carrey in this that it just keeps going, He starts doing weird shit, and it just keeps getting weirder, and I couldn't stop laughing, and there weren't that many other people in the audience I could hear laughing over my laughter, and I was self-conscious about it, because I'm like, is this seeming inappropriate? How much I'm laughing? But it's funny. Oh, don't bother, Universal. I know he's like, Kevin, seriously? I don't know. Shill alert, we have a shill. Shillery by proxy. It's a terrible disease. Oh, no, there's a racist around every bush. Cry me a fucking river. You white people this, and you white people that. Oh, yeah, who's the racist here? Who's the racist here? You tell me, Kevin. But, how about you stop fucking crying about everybody else and start taking some responsibility for your own life? How about you look at a film and demand more of your creatives? That's what I would say. I plead for you, Kevin. I'm on your side, whether you believe it or not. Morbius of Altair 4 is in the chat. Hail, Captain. Hail, crewmates. Hail, Morbius of Altair 4. Good to see you. Stavhiri, is there anything else you want me to cover on Sonic? Let me know. Let me know. I think it is, given that we have Kevin in the chat, now is a great time to study the shill. Because they suffer from a debilitating mental disease. It's called shillery by proxy. It results in them believing that people not liking a movie is a sign of racism. It results in social awkwardness. It results in a kind of general deranged mental state. It makes the basic functions of life and social interaction difficult. And it's a terrible, debilitating disease. They suffer. They suffer. And it doesn't matter how much drivel giant corporations like Disney serve up to them. It doesn't matter how many of their beloved childhood characters are ruined by stupid, illiterate writers who hate the fans and hate the shills and hate the source material, but they love money. that they didn't earn. And the shill continues to cheer them all on. Step on my face, Disney, they cry with glee. And they make me sick. But there is a man with a cast iron stomach who studies the shill. His name is Grizzy. He studies them to figure out what makes them tick. That one day we can cure their disease and welcome them back into the folds of regular humans. Mr. Producer, get me my Grizzy video. I need this immediately. Here it is. I have it. I got to get to the bottom of my stack of stuff. No, that's the wrong list, Mr. Producer. That's the wrong list. We need... Mr. Producer, are you asleep, Mr. Producer? Now, I don't pay you. That's the point. It's an unpaid internship. It's for college credit. There it is. There's my stack of stuff. We're going to do a Mr. Grizzy video. Hat tip Mr. Grizzy. Let's see. Which one was the... Did I not bookmark it? I don't think I did. Well, that explains it. Okay, so they are defending Kraven. Okay. You know what? Before we do this one, though, okay, we got to do this one. All right, before we do the shills, though, we have got to do the review of Kraven. Okay, Kraven the Hunter. One of the dumbest things ever in modern entertainment is Sony's attempt to create an interconnected superhero film universe based on Spider-Man characters that does not include Spider-Man. When you say it out loud, do you see why I say these are stupid people? What kind of fucking moron thinks that you're going to take Kraven the Hunter, Madam Web, and Morbius, and you're going to create something that can rival the MCU or the DCU? Like, how literally stupid. How absolutely brain dead you have to be to think this could ever work. Morbius is such a bad movie, it failed in box offices twice. These creatives, they're so stupid that the internet was able to meme them into re-releasing Morbius, thinking that it had caught on as a cult classic because of its Morbin time. And then they put it in the theater and it bombed again. They eat glue. They're stupid. All right, here we go. So this is the Critical Drinker's review of Kraven the Hunter. I did not watch it, chat, because you voted that I should go watch War of the Rohirrim, and quite frankly, it was a worse punishment. You punished me severely by making me watch War of the Rohirrim. That movie is so stupid. I can't even believe it. Honestly, even Helm Hammerhand punching a troll, that was not enough for me. That was not enough for me. I was like, this movie. I hate this movie. I'm sitting there in the theater like, this movie is trash. It sucks. I hate it. It's torture. It's Chinese water torture. Is that racist, Kevin? Am I allowed to say that? Am I allowed to say that, Kevin? Kevin! Save my soul, Kevin. Help me be not racist. Help me be a not terrible white person. Mr. Producer, share screen. Honest to God, Kevin's probably just a bot. That's my guess.
That you just can't strike up a rapport.
All right, hat tip, Critical Drinker.
Some things in life are just not meant to be. The plant that withers and dies no matter how well you care for it. The first date that you just can't strike up a rapport with no matter how much booze is involved. The family that you try to join by sneaking into their house in the middle of the night only to get discovered and they just won't stop screaming.
Wait, did we do this one? I feel like we did this one. I think we watched this one last week. Stop me if we already watched this, chat. I can't remember, but I did. It may be that I watched I may have watched this without you. That's possibly what happened.
Bizarre and often laughable attempt to exploit the handful of Marvel characters they still own the rights to by establishing their own mini cinematic universe. Because really, who can forget the cinematic delights of Morbius, Venom, Madam Web, or in this case, Kraven the Hunter? Well, everyone it seems, which is why Sony are officially abandoning the whole thing so they can concentrate on strip mining the one property that people actually still care about. Get ready for a lot more Spider-Man projects over the next few years, boys and girls. Anyway, you're not here for that. You're here to listen to my review of Kraven the Hunter. God knows why. But whatever, let's just get into it. Does it live up to the totally non-existent hype? Was it worth the 2-year delay? Is it even worth 2 hours of your time? You know how the studio released the first 8 minutes of the movie a couple of weeks back in a desperate attempt to drum up some kind of interest? You know how some of the top comments were, "Man, I hope this doesn't turn out to be the best 8 minutes of the film"? Well, I'm pleased to say that they absolutely are. Kraven the Hunter is something that I'd struggle to even call a movie, because it's less of a structured narrative with a beginning, middle and end, and more like a bunch of disjointed scenes and action sequences thrown together into a blender and spat out the other sides. Actions and events have almost nothing in common with their consequences. Characters talk at each other like they're having completely different conversations. The antagonist is one of the weakest and most ludicrous villains I've seen in any movie ever. The acting is atrocious, the effects are laughable, and there's an almost palpable air of indifference to the entire movie.
I really dodged a bullet. I really dodged a bullet with this one. I was still planning to see it, but oh my god, this sounds like torture.
Feels like a film made.
No, I have to see it. I have to see it because I'm doing my top 10 best and worst of the year. This could be a contender. This could be in the running for top 10 worst of the year. I have to see it. Folks, it is a packed competition this year. It is, on the worst side, that is. On the worst side, it's packed. The competition is stiff. Because there are, that you have The Crow, you have Joker, folie à deux, you have Gladiator, folie à deux. You just have so much. You have Madame Web. So much literal trash. Yeah. In fact, a movie I've even kind of forgot about, but it's in there, ISS. ISS. It's this little independent, I guess it's an independent film. It's one of those films that was sort of under the radar. And it's about a bunch of astronauts orbiting the Earth and they're at the International Space Station and a nuclear war breaks out. And they watch the whole Earth is burning below them. And it becomes Americans versus Russians on the International Space Station. And the concept is haunting and super interesting, and I'm like, oh, this could be really cool. And it is just girl boss drivel. It is drivel. It's so dumb, and nobody even remembers that movie. So I'm telling you, the competition is stiff. I gotta watch this movie and rule it out as one of the top 10 worst.
Obligation purely to retain the character or to fill a release slot instead of something that anyone gave a shit about. In short, it's about the same quality level as Madam Web, but whereas Madam Web at least gave us some funny memes and Sydney Sweeney, Kraven is just weirdly empty. It's a film with no heart, no soul, no energy, and no real reason for existing. I mean, it opens promisingly enough, I guess, with Kraven infiltrating a Russian prison so he can get to the warden and take him out, because it turns out that the man's an arms dealer who's responsible for killing a lot of innocent people. Why exactly is an international arms dealer also working as a prison warden in some frozen gulag at the ass end of nowhere? Don't know. That aside though, it's a neat enough sequence that's focused, well shot, brisk and businesslike. And the reason I call it out is because it's so completely different from the rest of the movie that it almost feels like it was lifted from a whole other project. And basically, it's all downhill from here. And this brings...
All right, I think that gives you a flavor, because I think I already played this last week. So we're gonna move on to the Shills. So that gives you a flavor of what's going on with Kraven. All right, here we go. Let's full screen that. Already put a like on it. Hat tip, Mr. Grizzy. Roll tape.
Was it actually good? it. I know. It's hard to believe. And
Oh, no. Oh, we're going hard right off the top. Oh, I loved it. It was so good. I loved it. I think we have a Grace Randolph fan in the chat today. Honestly, though, seriously, though, I understand them defending the Acolyte. I understand them defending Skeleton Crew and other shit like that. The Marvels. I understand that. I don't understand them going to bat for this crap. Why would you? Why the wokeness is not being served by Kraven. There's nothing to defend here. There's no important, stunning, and brave diversity hires to celebrate in Kraven. So why are we defending this, Grace?
a lot of you probably won't agree with me. There's a chance this might actually do okay.
It reminds me that it's not so bad. It's not so bad.
Oh, this is my favorite. This is my favorite Shill defense. It's not terrible. It's not like the worst thing I've ever seen. It's a little bit better than a kick in the face with a golf shoe.
You should give it a chance, right? I don't believe that it's bad as everybody online is saying that it is at this very moment.
It's finally here. I was finally able to watch it, and it's all right.
Kraven's fine, I think, at the end of the day.
You wouldn't think a movie like Kraven...
Yeah, this is why we can't have nice things. Hello, Kevin. Hello. I'm educating you. It's an old Mark Levin turn of phrase. I'm educating you. This is why we have no nice things. Because morons like this are saying, oh, it's fine. It's fine. Just turn your brain off for a while. Just sit on the couch, demand nothing from your entertainment, waste 2 hours of your life and be happy. Own nothing and be happy. Why you got to be so negative? Why you got to be so critical? And then you wonder why we have trash movies. You wonder why Gen Z doesn't even give a shit about movies anymore. Do you realize this? They don't care about movies. It's the strangest thing. They don't even like sitting in one place for 2 hours to watch a film. Do you know what I hear Gen Zers say about film? The problem with a movie is it just takes too long to get going. Because films are a self-contained story, or they used to be. Now they're all fucking 2 hour and 40-minute part ones. But back when they were a self-contained story that you could ingest in a single sitting, the beginning of a film was often a ramp up to what was going to happen. It was the setup to what was going to happen. And you just, in fact, when I was a kid, you'd be watching a movie and you'd be like, when is this going to happen? And then someone would inevitably say something along the lines of, well, you got to wait. The movie's getting started. You got to wait. And then the movie would get going and it was awesome because all that setup pays off later. And you're like, oh, wow, that's so cool. My point is the Gen Z, they don't have patience for that anymore. They don't like that model. They want like 5 minute, 15 minute. They want right off the bat. They want to see excitement and they want to get to the point right now. They're the TLDR generation. TLDR, that's what movies are to them. Too long, didn't read. Or in this case, too long, didn't watch. And I don't blame them. Because drooling slobs like these shills sit there and say, they're fine. What's wrong? And they're fine. The rest of the world is moving on, shill.
Even would be well written. But I think it's constructed quite well.
What?
I just genuinely was surprised at how good it was. I mean, it probably helped that my expectations were rock bottom.
Lower your expectations to...
Oh my God, I cannot think of a better illustration of my exact point. Just stop expecting anything good and you'll have a fun time. Stop asking for originality. Stop asking for believability. Stop asking for inspiration or beauty and just accept the slop. consume content, slave. Fuck you. This is trash. Absolute drivel. Our youth cannot read. They don't know history. They have no civic pride. They don't know anything. They simply are empty vessels to be downloaded whatever the latest NPC patch is, like Kevin here. Brainless, no opinions of their own, no ability to defend an argument. Just lower your standards and accept it. Never this side of hell.
Rock bottom, and then you might enjoy it. Doesn't really sound to me like that's what a certified film critic is supposed to do going into the movie, but whatever.
There's definitely a lot of issues with this movie, but there's also a lot of things that I think are pretty good about it, and overall I had a good time watching it.
Like, there were elements of John Wick in it.
Oh, God. Oh, jeez. Yet they always do this, right? They take trash, garbage content and they compare it to something that's actually good. Classic shill technique.
Yourself.
I saw a couple other positive reactions after the screenings last night. Sony was nice enough to invite me to the premiere. It was a small...
Whoa! Well, the plot thickens. Oh, isn't that interesting? Was I not just asking? Was I not just, putting forth the query? There's no stunning and brave girl bosses. There's no woke diversity hires. There's no message to celebrate. Why would Grace Randolph go out of her way, just climb out there on that limb and defend Kraven, a movie nobody asked for, nobody wanted, nobody is watching, and literally nobody fucking cares about? Why would she waste any time defending this movie? I think we may have just found the answer.
Premiere, but I appreciated it nonetheless. That did not factor into my enjoying the film.
Now, ordinarily, I would call bullshit on this. However, clearly Sony does not have a paying off Shills operation like Disney does. Hence the incredibly low critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and the incredibly high number of negative reviews from content creators on YouTube. So I do believe that Grace's positive review has less to do with the fact that she was invited to the premiere and more to do with the fact that...
Clearly, she's retarded.
I think we agree it's not worse than Madam Web.
Yeah, it was better than Madam Web and Morbius.
I don't think it is as disastrous as some of these other ones.
You know what? I'll say it was better than Last Dance. I enjoyed this movie a little bit more than Venom: The Last Dance.
I would say it's as good as the first Venom movie. I really would.
Well, I can change that in a hurry.
Look, I'm not the big...
Best clip of all time. Oh my God, that's so amazing. One more time. I love it when, he's never played it with the full line before.
As good as the first Venom movie. I really would.
Well, I can change that in a hurry.
Look, I'm not the biggest fan of the first Venom.
What is the context? I don't know what film that's from. I need to know the context of that.
Movie, but Jesus Christ, Grace, it was better than this.
You know, if the Sony Marvel movies weren't in such a bad place right now, and to a larger degree, comic book movies in general, they're still not recovered. I think Kraven would have a shot.
Right, so it's not that Kraven is a bad movie, it's just that every other movie in the Sony Spider-Man universe is bad, therefore it's all rubbing off on this one, apparently.
And it really never really stood it.
No. Again, this is correlation and causation. Why does this film exist? Now, how many times must the lesson be learned? How many times must we, the paying customer, must we, the audience, must we, The esteemed, approved YouTube critic class. How many times must we inflict these defeats, these financial disasters on these studios before the lesson is learned? Nobody wants this garbage. Nobody wants this crap. Stop trying to make the Sonyverse of B-list Spider-Man characters a thing. It's never going to be a thing. You stupid studio executives. You burn money. You set it on fire. The issue is not that this movie is bad. The issue is this movie should not exist. That is the issue. It, by its very existence, exemplifies how fucking stupid the people that created it are. That's the issue. Venom without Spider-Man is an insult to anyone that is a Spider-Man fan, and I am a huge Spider-Man fan. Spider-Man is the best superhero. The fact that these Venom movies exist is an insult to Spider-Man, an insult to me personally. I take it personally. Now, are the Venom movies the worst thing ever? Not really. They're not terrible. They're not terrible at all. I don't know. They're very mid. They're sort of boring. I don't understand the point of them. Eddie Brock is not the Eddie Brock that Tom Hardy plays is not Eddie Brock. That's not the character, whatever. You could argue that if you take them in isolation, they're at least mid. But I don't take them in isolation. I take them as a cheap, pathetic, unasked for knockoff. Exactly, Universal. You speak my very thoughts. Kraven was not a movie we wanted for, asked for. Why was it made? And this is the issue that I have with these stupid shills. They're sitting here splitting hairs over this scene or that scene. Who cares? Why is it that it takes 20 freaking years to get Wolverine into his costume? 20 years. Meanwhile, Sony goes and digs up all these supporting characters. They don't give us a Spider-Man film, not a true one. The Tom Holland Spider-Man films, those are not real Spider-Man films. Tony Stark is not his mentor. Uncle Ben is his mentor. Uncle Ben is his mentor, not Tony Stark. So they don't give us a proper Spider-Man film, but they do give us a bunch of C-list characters we don't want. I hope every single person involved with this film is embarrassed and humiliated. I hope that they have all suffered financial failure as a result of it, because they deserve it. They deserve it for poisoning these IPs, for IP mining this crap. They should devote their creative talents, such as they have any, to something more worthy of their time. It makes me sick. Roll tape.
Chance coming after Morbius and Madam Web.
I mean, I don't think it would have stood a chance anyway after the first reviews and impressions came out. This was not a good movie. All right, everyone, before we get to defense number 3, if you could do me a big favor, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.
Already done, Grizzy.
I really would.
1970, 1970, 1970.
All right, you guys, now this one is really funny. So as stated earlier, Grace Randolph was at the press premiere for this movie, where something interesting happened. People were laughing their asses off at how bad the movie was.
I mean, look, as I said again, I was at the premiere. Small premiere, but it was still the premiere. The cast was in attendance, the director, and that didn't keep some people from laughing at the movie.
Now, who would do a thing like that?
This is the dumbest movie this year. This is the dumbest dialogue, to the point where, and to be fair, we saw this at a screening. Myself, you, Alan were there. Paul Chato, script doctor, Dante,
Yes!
Derek Anderson.
No way! It was us. It was our boys. It was members of the fellowship. We're in the audience laughing. Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing. So Grace Randolph was hearing Chris Gore and Paul Chano and Alan Ing laughing. Oh my God. It's a small world, ain't it, folks?
We were laughing our asses off.
That is great. Cheers to you for doing that. But
it's a Christmas miracle, folks. So you've got freaking Grace Randolph is over here. Who would laugh? Who would laugh with the actors and the director was in attendance? And then it's Chris Gore and Paul Chano and all of your favorite YouTubers. Oh, hey, Kevin, by the way, the Orange Man won. Suck it. How do you feel about that? But then over here, you've got all of our fellowship members tuning up Grace Randolph. It's amazing.
Grace Randolph apparently heard people laughing at the movie at her premiere too. Maybe they were at the same one. And she was not happy about it.
I just want to say you are seeing a comic book movie. So you don't have to love it. Not everyone's going to enjoy it as much as I did. But I would hope that you at least give every movie that you see a chance. If you're not even going to be open to giving it a chance, just don't go see it. Because it kind of sucks for everybody else who's kind of enjoying it that you're sitting there laughing at
it. Deal with it. It deserves to be ridiculed. Hey, Grace, I have a suggestion for you. If that really hurts your feelings and if that really breaks your heart and you feel really sad, you're very sad that people are laughing with the actors and directors in attendance, I have a thought. Maybe they should have made a good movie rather than humiliating themselves by demonstrating that they are a bunch of incompetent boobs. It's part of the job. It's part of the job. 97% of people who aspire to be writers, filmmakers, musicians, actors, creatives, 97% of them will never write a word, will never audition for a part, will never attempt to make a film. Do you want to know why? Because it means putting yourself out there, and it means that you literally could get laughed at. You could literally get laughed at. You could hear people tell you that you're no good. And you may not be able to handle that kind of rejection. That's why it's difficult. And that's why part of being a professional means you have to deal with it. They made a shitty movie. Well, maybe they shouldn't have made a stupid movie. And then maybe they wouldn't be being laughed at. Have you ever considered that it's their fault? Morons. Incompetent boobs.
Grace, it's kind of their job to cover the movie, just like it's your job to cover the movie. So, like, the only thing going on here is you're allowing their...
But by the way, Dakota Johnson knows that people laugh at her movie, and she's like, yeah, well, it was kind of a dumb movie, and audiences are smart. They can smell bullshit. She was chill about it. That's a professional, Grace. That's a professional.
Dislike of the movie to trigger you.
But I just think it's wrong. I felt bad because I was like, man, come on, what do you want from this movie? They're trying. I think they're...
Way to reveal that you have absolutely no integrity as a professional yourself, Grace. You've just exposed you have no professional integrity. You are giving this movie pity applause because you feel bad that you're in the presence of the creatives. Your job is to be a critic of the film. Your job, how do you benefit the creatives of this film by lying to them and putting lipstick on a pig? Pathetic.
You're succeeding. Come on, man. That's not cool.
Yes, and as she's famously stated in the past,
making trash films that nobody asked for and insult the fan base is not cool. That's what's not cool.
Stop being mean to movies.
I think constructive criticism is one thing, but I think this new thing about being mean to movies and bullying the people who do like them.
What, bullying? I will have you know, Grace, that absolutely every word of my critiques come from a place of compassion and constructive feedback.
Is pretty bad.
Damn whore.
People laughed. People not to snicker.
Oh, yes. He's stuck in the Garrus Vicarian clip. Well played, Grizzy.
Either straight up laughed. Not just at the comic book element.
Oh, she's mad, folks. She's
but it
big
was
mad.
also, like at the seriousness with which J.C. Chandor approached the material.
Well, you know what, Grace? Good. Maybe that will motivate him to do a better job on his next project.
And I hope that if you don't like it, you maybe be a little sensitive to that some people in your theater might be enjoying it.
How about no?
And she's not the only one who felt this way. Eric Voss of the New Rockstars also attended one of these press screenings.
I saw like an advanced press screening, and I know a lot of the people who are there, so I'm not like talking shit about everybody.
And he also heard the toxic laughter coming from above.
I was looking around the theater, and these are people that I know, or people that I know of, who are all trying to like performatively like talk real loud with their takes about the movie, and like they were doing this throughout the movie, and I'm like, I know you. If I cared about what you thought, I'd follow you on Twitter, dude. Just shut up. Like you're not. Who are you trying to win over here?
Bitch, shut up.
So, Nivola is actually really funny as the Rhino again, as I said, for most of the movie. He goes all out.
I also surprisingly liked the Rhino in this movie.
The villain did not suck. Rhino did not suck. Yeah, the CGI wasn't all of that great on him, but he did not suck.
He sucked.
Loved it. He really made me laugh.
He did not suck. Brilliant.
He's intentionally trying to make you laugh.
Oh, so it's okay when Grace laughs, but not other.
Imagine if I came on this channel chat and I was talking about Dune Part 2, and I was like, Timothée Chalamet did not suck. It'd be weird, wouldn't it?
People. Okay, got it.
Damn whore.
For some reason it worked, and I don't really know why exactly it worked for me, but it did. Even just the way he looks, like the CGI of the Rhino when he actually becomes him later in the film, it all was just fine to me.
Okay, that's an opinion, I guess. Calypso, by the way, guys, is also hot and diverse, which makes her great.
Ariana DeBose as Calypso. Sexy as hell. Oh my goodness. I said,
Yeah, I got an erection.
Okay. She looked good. And I did not know that this film had so much diversity in it, right? I did not know that.
Oh, there it is.
That's a good positive.
No, it's diverse and inclusive. It's about the, it's always the message. It's always the ideology. Yeah, sure, she's hot. But what does that have to do with this being a good movie?
Yeah, big win for DEI in this movie, am I right?
No.
As a comic book fan, I was definitely entertained. And maybe with Aaron
Grace is a comic book fan.
Taylor Johnson's charisma, he can win over casuals the way that Tom Hardy did.
I tell you, I don't see it happening.
I'm not going to sit there, watch a movie, have a great time with it, but because it's just not that well made, I'm going to just give it a really low rating. No, if I had
Wait, what? 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 Then how are you enjoying it, sir? Madam Marit, however you identify. How do you enjoy a movie that you're saying it's not well made?
a good time with it, it deserves some credit. It does. It has to.
Sir, there are bad movies out there that you can enjoy for being bad movies. That does not mean you give it a good rating.
This movie in particular, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
Wow. Wow.
Bro, IGN of all people gave this movie a 3 out of 10. That should tell you everything you need to know.
I would have to give this film a 6 out of 10.
I personally would really like to see a sequel.
Yeah, I don't see that happening either. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Hat tip, Mr. Grizzy. Mr. Producer, my applause, please, if you would. Uh-oh. I think we've tuned up Kevin real good. We've tuned up Kevin. Oh, he's big mad. And you, Kevin, thank you. That you are clearly not a racist. You are clearly a very enlightened person. Quote, white folks love you slogan DEI hire. Make America great again. Just want everything to white only. Is English your first language? I'm just asking. No, what? Don't get mad at me. I'm just, it's clearly. Maybe you're typing on your iPhone. That's possible. I'll say that's possible. Redo of the same quote. So, white folks love you slogan DEI hire. It's not a slogan, Kevin. It's a statement. DEI means hiring people based on race, which is racist, which also means you're not hiring people for their skills. You are hiring stupid people who don't know what they're doing. That has nothing to do with their race. It's because you're not hiring for skill. Do you understand the difference? No, of course you don't, because you're clearly, this is an illiterate statement here. What do you want from me? Well, listen, it's clear to me that you believe whatever the media wants you to believe. That's what you believe. You just believe whatever the powerful corporate conglomerates and the media want you to believe so that you can be a useful tool for whatever designs they have. If they want you to believe that everyone in America who is white is a racist, you just believe it because that's what you're told to believe. And like a dutiful little servant, you believe it. So what you're stating here is not accurate. But again, I feel like something might be getting lost in translation because I don't think English is your first language. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just, I'm willing to allow that grammar is not, at least in this case, is not your strong suit. Writing is hard. I know that. Look, is DEI helping anyone? Seriously. Is it helping anyone? Not really. People need to succeed on their skill. And by the way, there was a time in this country where people of all different backgrounds, racial or otherwise, were starting to succeed based on their skills. It's called the 90s. Now we're regressing. You still haven't told me, what Disney film do white people dislike that you like? Defend it. Give me an actual reason. All you're doing is spitting a bunch of NPC bullshit. Whatever. Stay on the Swords at Starships channel, Kevin. We're gonna help you. Stay here. We're gonna help you have a Merry Christmas, and we're basically gonna help you see how you've been lied to, if you're willing. If you're willing to stay on the Swords and Starships vessel, I think it'll help you a lot. I really do. Redoubt Production says, have you done your Save the Shills PSA yet? I know, I should. Save the life of a shill. Your donation of just $1 a day could save the life of a shill. It does not help black actors to write terrible stories for them with shoddy productions that nobody likes and nobody watches, but we're supposed to like because they're black. How does that help black actors? See, what I think would help black actors is if they get cast in a role because they're right for the part and it's written by talented people and it appreciates the fans and tells an excellent story. There's plenty of examples of this, by the way. That's what would help black actors. not hiring people that are not ready for the part, or hiring good actors, but then writing garbage for them, such as in the case of The Acolyte. Do you see my point? No, well, stay on the channel. Maybe you'll figure it out at some point. Where I need to find where we begin in the chat here. Stavire says, a recommendation for everyone, Solo Leveling. Great manga. I hear that is just going gangbusters. Everyone is loving that. And yes, I have to check that one out. Agreed. Universal says, start of Kraven review. It sucked. End of Kraven review. LOL. Yes, exactly. Stavire says, is this garbage over yet? Meaning Kraven. And then says, good night, everyone. Good night, Stavire. Thanks for joining us. It's not even night there yet. This is like the earliest live stream I've done in a long time. What do you mean, Star Fury? Merry Christmas, Fury and Wrangler, says Universal. Merry Christmas to us all. Merry Christmas and God bless us, everyone. Morbius of Altair 4 says, that's what some people were saying about Skeleton Crew. It's fine. It's fine. It's for kids. Whatever. Universal pointing out Skeleton Crew is the lowest viewership of all live Star Wars action shows. Yeah, I mean, is Skeleton Crew the worst thing Disney's ever done? No, not at all. It's maybe the most pointless thing they've ever done. It's pointless. Nobody's watching it. It's for kids. There's no kids watching it. I mean, it proceeds from the wrong premise. Let's do a pirate show in Star Wars, so we'll make all the pirates like Pirates of the Caribbean. That's retarded. That's a stupid attitude. Honest to God, as a Star Wars fan, people should be up in arms about this. They really should, because they're ruining the Star Wars universe with crap like this. But Captain, how can you say that? Star Wars is about adventure. Star Wars is about joy. Well, that's an element that could be in Star Wars. But what I'm saying is, if this is a canon story, then the canon story of Star Wars now is that the characters are Pirates of the Caribbean characters. Hang on a second. Cough button. They are pirate. What I want to see is what actual pirates in the Star Wars universe are like. That's what I want to see. Actual pirates. Anthony Timmons says, set your expectation to sucks. And when it does, you won't be disappointed. I know. Well, that's the theory. If you're a shill. But if you're a regular human, you'll still be disappointed. Universal says even lower than The Acolyte. Without production. Oh, got that one. Universal says the only movie I saw this year was Deadpool. That was the only movie worth my hard-earned money. Well, that's fair enough. I would also recommend, I mean, obviously the time has passed for theaters, but there were a few good ones. Dune Part 2, Beetlejuice was pretty good. As I've mentioned, I enjoyed Wicked, although you're in for a musical, so prepare yourself for that. There have been a few good ones this year. Gladiator, Folie à Deux, sucked. Morbius of Altair 4 says, because it's a shill's job to defend crap. Honestly, though, none of the shills were out there defending Rebel Moon. This is what I mean. Like, nobody was out there defending Rebel Moon because who cares? It's Rebel Moon. Nobody cares. Rebel Moon, is what the Acolyte would be if it didn't have the name Star Wars. A boondoggle project by a has-been or never-been creative that nobody watched, nobody talked about, and nobody cares about. That's what the Acolyte would be if it didn't have the name Star Wars, because it is a show that was too stupid to exist without the name Star Wars. Rebel Moon was based on a rejected Star Wars script, and evidently it was correctly rejected because it's a complete work of trash. So where were the shills? Where were the shills out there defending it? Well, of course they're not defending it because there's no clout. There's no clout in defending Rebel Moon. There's only clout. See, what the shills actually are, this is what the shills actually are. They're gatekeepers. See, what they want is they want to control the fandom. And part of how they control the fandom is by defending the garbage that they want, which is, a bunch of ideological bullshit. And they want to excommunicate all the fans that prefer the original source material. They want to get rid of them. They want to excise them from the fandom. That's why they present everything with this attitude of like, oh, everybody loves it. Oh, it's super good. It's not terrible. But why Kraven? That's what's got me puzzled. Why Kraven? Who cares about Kraven? It's like Rebel Moon. Nobody wants this. Something about it. I don't know. For some reason, they feel like they need to defend this one when nobody wants to defend this one. Universal says, here's a thought. Pay me to watch your movies and I'll say whatever you want me to say. I'll start with Fort Knox. Yeah, exactly. Venom was a bad movie. It made a ton of money overseas. Yeah, Venom is the least bad of the Sonyverse films. A lot of people seem to kind of like them. And understandably, like if you're just viewing it in isolation as a normie, sure, fine, whatever. The character of Eddie Brock arguing with the Venom symbiote for half the movie, apparently that's entertaining to some. For me, as a fan of Spider-Man and the actual Venom character, those films are insulting, boring, and they're trash. Universal says, Kraven was not a movie we wanted or asked for. Why was it made? Anthony Timmons says, maybe Kraven can win a Razzie. No, that goes to Madam Web. Madam Web has a special place in my heart. You have not lived until you've seen an ambulance used as a weapon against a supervillain. A stolen ambulance, stolen from the scene of somebody who needs help from an EMT. I can't even believe it. I think about it and I start laughing. I'm sorry, but I need this. She steals an ambulance from people that are actively in the middle of a medical emergency and need it. She fucking steals it. And then she drives it into the bad guy. She defeats the villain by dropping a Pepsi sign on him. Oh no, Madam Web gets the Razzie. Madam Web should just sweep. It should be a clean Razzie sweep for Madam Web. It's kind of an unintentional masterpiece. Universal says, Anthony, too much competition for that award, longer than Santa's list. Well, I don't know. Are the Razzies kind of celebratory, like so bad it's good, or are the Razzies saying, no, it's really just the worst thing ever? Because if it's the latter, then I would say probably The Crow or Joker should earn the Razzie this year, because they really are trash. Absolutely, they are movies that exist to literally make your life worse. It's like that Asmund Gold, someone in his chat said, why don't you just play the video? It's only like 10 minutes. And just the best answer I've ever heard. He just said, without missing a beat, because I don't like you and I want to make your life worse. That is what The Crow remake and Joker are for. They are movies that don't like you and want your life to be worse. Skunk's Workshop says, not to mention Blizzard has a graph on how to make their characters, and that graph is this character DEI enough? I know someone on the inside, so yeah, DEI is not a slogan. Apparently, it's a requirement. Yeah, I mean, I have bad news for you, Kevin. The Orange Man won in a clean sweep, and that's not because the Orange Man won. That's because we, the people, have rejected this garbage and this bullshit that we're all a bunch of racists. Yeah, call us whatever you want. That word is literally meaningless. It means nothing anymore. And so what you are witnessing is the end of wokeness. And don't think for a second, we have woken up as a civilization. We're not taking this crap anymore. Do you understand that? We're not taking this crap anymore. Your bullying tactics are over. The time, as Maximus Decimus Meridius once said, the time for honoring yourself is at an end. Wokeness is dead. It just doesn't know it yet. This channel and thousands of channels like it and millions of people the world over, you DEI woke wackos out there have sown the wind, and you're going to reap the whirlwind. We will not rest until wokeness and every scrap of critical race theory, every scrap of diversity, equity, inclusion, every scrap of trans insanity, every scrap of it, every shred of that ideology will be gone before we ever rest for a second. Just prepare for it. Just prepare for it. We are not tolerating this kind of insanity in our society anymore. Yes, you're entitled to believe whatever you want, live your life whatever you want, but it will not dominate our cultural institutions anymore. So cry about it. Universal says, Kevin, thank you for your comments. We need you to share more so that we can have a good conversation. Well, that ship's kind of sailed. I may have gone a little overboard there. But seriously, wokeness is dead. It's over. The party is over. Because, listen, at the end of the day, wokeness is evil, and evil must be opposed. Wokeness is an evil ideology because it is based in authoritarianism. It seeks only to control and enslave. That's all it wants. It seeks to enslave the human mind. It seeks to diminish the human soul. It hates humanity. It considers humanity a plague on this planet. It considers Western civilizational values of individual liberty and freedom of speech and all those sorts of things as inherently racist and bad, and they must be eliminated. It's an evil ideology, and it will be defeated. And by the way, how is it being defeated? Mostly because it's so evil, nobody can stand it anymore. Yet you want to know how the Orange Man won? Because leftists have become so damn psychotic that they're driving away their own people. Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, they were all leftists. And now they're ending wokeness. You know, when Anakin Skywalker has turned to the dark side and he's saying to Obi-Wan Kenobi, you turned her against me. And then Obi-Wan says, you have done that yourself. We're like Obi-Wan in this analogy. And the woke cult is like Anakin whining and caterwauling about how you've turned everyone against me. No, you've done that yourself because look how insufferable you are. You can't even string a damn sentence together. You can't say one coherent thought about a movie that you like or that I don't like. You don't even know you don't even know anyone that's on this channel. You don't know any of us. You haven't watched anything that I've said. And you just come in here and try and be a bully. That's all you're trying to do. You're trying to intimidate people by implying they're racist. Well, the good old days of that working are over, son. They're over. Stay on this channel. We're going to help you. We're going to help you, Kevin. We're going to rehabilitate your mind, which has been sickened by the woke mind virus. The Matrix has you, Kevin. It's time to take the red pill. Fu Man Blue says, I'm tired of blackters. Can't we just hire the person that's best for the part? Too many people trying to balance the scales in their own image of what's right. We just need, as Morgan Freeman put it, we need to stop talking about race. We need to stop it. There is only one race. It's called humankind. Humankind. Do you know what truth, justice, the American way is? It's a melting pot. It's a civilization where your ancestry doesn't matter. What matters is your commitment to the ideals of America, which is freedom and justice and equality for all. That's what matters. That's what makes you American. It's an idea, a set of ideas about liberty and freedom. That's what being an American is. Race is totally irrelevant to that. So the more you talk about race, the more you keep it going forever and ever and ever. So we just need to stop talking about it and start living our damn lives. We're all human beings. We're all in this spinning blue ball together, whether we like it or not. We're all just trying to figure it out. So maybe instead of pointing fingers at each other, we should treat a little more kindly and listen rather than accuse. Universal says if you had a business, you would hire the best employee. Who cares about all the other crap? Well, I certainly don't. Fu Man Blue says nobody used to, for sure. Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you, if I'm running a company, I will have a legal team ready in advance for the first employee that tries to pull that crap. You know, it's like, oh, that's DEI. Be like, you know what? You're fired. And like, if you try to countersue, we'll make an example out of you. That's what I would do. Extreme prejudice, if you know what I mean. Morbius of Altair 4 says, it would be nice if the human race could move beyond socialism and wokeness. I think we can achieve better. We'll figure it out. Look, I have great hope and faith in humanity. I really do. You know, the fact that we haven't lit up all those nukes yet, honest to God, that's basically proof that there's good in humanity. Oh my God, you're so pathetic. Kevin, come on, man. Seriously? You're making a fool of yourself. Trying to use a dog whistle. It's a dog whistle. Yeah, is that what your NPC patch is showing? Hatred speech isn't going to work anymore. What hatred speech, Kevin? What hatred speech? There's no hatred speech on this channel. Universal says wholeheartedly agree. What's next in the stack of stuff? Mr. Producer, where is my list? I challenge you, Kevin, to make one actual argument about a specific thing. One specific thing. You're literally like an MSNBC bot. You're like an MSNBC bot. Dog whistle. Racist. But there's no substance whatsoever. You're not saying anything. Sort of like Kamala Harris. You're basically like Kamala Harris. We need to be unburdened by what has been in order to be the thing which we must become. What's got you so mad, Kevin? Don't be mad. What are you upset about? Unburden yourself. Okay, we are going to do some Trek talk. Are you ready for this? It is fascinating, though. It's like you're spending time on the channel, so clearly we're entertaining you, Kevin, on a Sunday. He doesn't know Universal. He says Universal says what hatred. Kevin doesn't know. Kevin doesn't know. He has no examples. Literally, I'm suspicious this is just a bot. You know, I mean, just a human bot. MSNBC said dog whistle. MSNBC said Orange Man bad. MSNBC said America bad. He doesn't know Universal. Just, you know, leave him be. I'm white knighting for you, Kevin. I'm trying to help you, man. All right, here we go. Hat tip Dave Cullen show.
Wow, this is really something. Well, folks, we've got more new Trek, more hot garbage new Trek. It's another Section 31 trailer, and it's going down a treat, it seems, with audiences. Well, at the time of making this particular video you're watching right now, the trailer on YouTube has amassed 4,100 dislikes and just 1,800 likes. Yeah, it's more of the same that we've talked about from the previous two trailers for this Section 31 TV movie.
This is gonna be bad.
Thanks, buddy. You took the words right out of my mouth. This looks and sounds nothing like Star Trek, in my opinion. But then again, how often does modern Star Trek actually look and sound like Star Trek these days? There have been some exceptions in recent years, of course, but they are kind of thin on the ground. But this Section 31 TV movie is just so far removed from the Trek universe, visually, stylistically, and in every way, basically. It's just got this really ugly aesthetic to it. It's dark with this garish dystopian look about it. Why does this particular iteration of Star Trek look like it's entirely based within the mirror universe? Now, if it was to turn out that this is based entirely in the mirror universe, I would probably make some degree of allowance for why this looks the way it does, and why the characters are playing it so arch edgy dark, why it's so gritty, for example. But still, nothing about these trailers would entice me to want to watch the movie. This doesn't pull me in and make me want to stream this. You know what I mean?
31 is a Black Ops division. Spy work.
Now, I'm going to comment on this line again, as I did before. I need to highlight something here. In modern new Trek, since basically Star Trek Into Darkness, and then especially in Star Trek Discovery, Section 31 is thrown around so liberally as an entity. It's like they kind of treat it like it's the CIA of Star Trek, but it's not, right? The CIA is much more visible in America than Section 31 is supposed to be.
Yeah, no, he's putting it mildly here. Section 31, honestly, I really do think that the writers of Mass Effect got the idea for Cerberus from Section 31 in Deep Space Nine. It's specifically, this concept was introduced in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and it came very late in the series. And part of the reason it arose is because the principal conflict in Deep Space Nine is about the Federation, which is this utopian, optimistic civilization, up against the worst threat of its existence, which was the Dominion, which was this totalitarian, nightmarish, dystopian society that was attempting to literally conquer, enslave, and partially exterminate the Federation and humanity. They had plans to wipe out all life on Earth, so they were like really bad news. So the overall narrative of the Dominion War in Deep Space Nine sort of required a kind of meditation on like just how far does a bad guy have to go? How high do the stakes have to get? How dire does the situation have to be before the Federation will consider using dirty tactics to win? Right? That's kind of the question that the situation the Federation found itself in was begging. And the introduction of Section 31 was the answer, the story-driven answer to that question. And so what Section 31 revealed was that there was an obscure byline in the Starfleet Charter, which predates the Federation, by the way. Get ready, nerds, we're going in. The charter of Starfleet was, Starfleet being originally a human-founded organization, predated it, and there was a sort of obscure little byline in there called, it was the Section 31 line of the code, which just basically made a kind of vague provision for extreme measures when required to protect humanity and then later the Federation more broadly. And the interpretation of that line allowed for the creation of a secret paramilitary group, which are unknown. They're off the books. They're totally black. They're like more than black ops. They do not exist officially. And only a very small number of people even know they exist. And there's just a few agents. And their only job is, if things get so bad that literally we are up against an existential threat, you're authorized to use whatever means are necessary to protect humanity and the Federation. And that's all they are. That's all Section 31 was supposed to be. They're technically they claim that they're a legal organization because of the titular Section 31, but really they're kind of an illegal or extra legal organization. They're not even supposed to exist. So the problem with the Kurtzman-Schreck interpretation of Section 31 is they turn them into a full-blown spy agency with uniforms and badges and ships and all this crap, which they do not have in the real story. And, of course, I tend to think that Cerberus, which is a very similar organization in Mass Effect, Cerberus is they're basically the same thing. They are an illegal paramilitary organization, and their stated objective is to do whatever is necessary to ensure the survival and flourishing of humankind. To wit, they have all kinds of illegal scientific experiments. They play God with AI. They try and engineer political coups. They do all this kind of shit that they're not supposed to do. And I pretty much think they were inspired by Section 31. And both ideas are super cool, and I love a lot. The Kurtzman manages to take that very clever and interesting idea, unique to Star Trek, by the way, and turns it into the same boring drivel we get from basically every other universe out there. It's like the same boring drivel, which is, oh, look, they're just super spies in space. It's boring. Section 31 in Deep Space Nine is interesting specifically because they are answering that philosophical question of what would the Federation do if they really were up against literally survival and they were losing and they had no choice. Would they fight dirty? And the answer to that is, well, officially no, but unofficially there is a little secret division, let's say, that will take action in that case. So Deep Space Nine is a brilliant show, by the way. If you haven't seen it, really amazing. Maybe since Picard kind of destroyed Picard for me, and by extension, Star Trek Next Generation, it might be my favorite Star Trek series now, Deep Space Nine.
In the 24th century in Deep Space Nine, no one knew who Section 31 were. They were very much in the shadows. They were very mysterious. They were a totally unknown quantity, highly secretive. The CIA is to the American government what Starfleet intelligence is to Starfleet.
Oh, that's a bang-on accurate point. That's a great analogy. He's exactly right. He's saying the CIA in our world would be analogous to Starfleet intelligence in the Federation, which is a legit organization. That's not what Section 31 is. They are an illegal or extra legal black ops paramilitary group. That's what they are. They're not even on the books.
Section 31 is more like what the NSA used to be before it was declassified in, I think it was 1975. But in Star Trek today, it's like there's no mystery behind Section 31, and everyone seems to know about them. And now here we are exploring them in a film, and they look like a weird ragtag ensemble of misfits and oddballs. They're trying hard to be like this really bad Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, it looks like a poor man's Guardians of the Galaxy, but without any of the fun, right? As opposed to being what Section 31 should be, which is, Starfleet officers aboard Federation starships in deep cover. Now that could potentially be an interesting way of exploring Section 31 as an organization. But this looks like something from a completely different franchise. Plus, once again, New Trek just seemingly struggles to find that light switch, always with the dark lighting. And that was one of my complaints, even with Picard Season 3.
It was so dark.
Yep, you said it, Riker. So Section 31, the movie, looks like it's trying very hard, a little too hard, I might say, to make Section 31 look cool, edgy, and sophisticated, and really smart, and, but it just fails miserably. They're trying too hard. These people stand out like sore thumbs. Like, they got their black leather. They look very conspicuous in their elaborate outfits. The exact opposite of what people working in undercover intelligence jobs should look like. Now, I'm hearing a lot of very cliched, generic dialogue in this trailer. A lot of smarmy, smug characterization and stock banter, stock jokes. Suffice to say, I won't be watching. This just feels like yet more Star Trek Discovery, in my opinion, but with an even darker tone. I also never really understood what the appeal of the character Philippa Georgiou was in the first place. I have to say, I would be happy to rewatch Star Trek V: The Final Frontier, Star Trek Insurrection, and Star Trek Nemesis rather than watching 10 seconds of this dreck. Honestly, I mean, some of the weakest of the classic eras of Star Trek are absolutely leaps and bounds far superior to this, and far more in keeping, for all of their flaws, for all of their faults, for all of the maybe plot holes or the weak characters or weak stories. At least Star Trek V, Insurrection, and Nemesis were true. They aspired to be true to Star Trek in various ways, and they are to be commended in that regard. But this isn't even trying to be Star Trek, is it? I mean, it's just un-Star Trek. But those are my thoughts.
Hey, Dave, are you going to shill your book again?
My book? No, since you asked. I wasn't planning on promoting my new sci-fi detective novel, Deus V Machina, available in ebook and paperback form from the links below. Also now available as an audiobook from Storytel and Spotify Premium. And it's also available on the Google Play Store. Why do you ask?
Whatever, Dave.
Look, I'm only...
Hail the Iron Age. Yeah, so what was the name of the book? Deus V Machina, a Cody Stockton mystery. So yeah, check that out. Hat tip Dave Cullen. Another great commentary. I just love Star Trek commentary. Yeah, look, it's very simple. The reason why modern Hollywood creatives love the idea, they don't really love the actual lore, not the real idea, but they are attracted like a fly, like a firefly is like a moth to the flame. That's what I'm looking for. Like a moth to the flame, they are attracted to the idea of Section 31 because it is cynical, it is dark, it's the Game of Thronesing of everything. They just can't resist it. They see it. It's just nihilist catnip to them. And that's why we get that garbage. So, Skunks, would you be mad if the music came up? Would you be mad if Mr. Producer played the outro music? Let me know, Skunks. You're my gauge of if I've gone long enough. What else do I have? Seeing if I had anything else in the stack of stuff. We did those ones. All right, I'm going to take a short break. The captain will be right back. So, Mr. Producer, the be right back screen, if you would. And we're back. We are back on the Swords and Starships channel. Have we heard from Skunks yet? Has Skunks answered the important query? Oh, wait. No, wrong one. Hang on. Where's my... Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, cool. Got my correct background. Fu Man Blue saying, Merry Christmas, everyone. See you next time. Merry Christmas, Fu Man Blue. Thanks for joining us, and thank you for that very fine gift. Much appreciated. Captain loves it. Yeah, so the new Christmas tradition I'm doing, me and my cousin, is we're watching all of the original Star Wars films. That would be the prequels in the original trilogy in Machete Order. And if you don't know, Machete Order was an idea popularized by a blogger, Rod Hilton, I believe his name was, years ago. And it was to answer the conundrum of, should one watch the Star Wars original 6 in release order? That is Star Wars A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, then go back and watch episodes 1, 2, and 3? Or should you watch it in chronological order, aka episode order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? And he argues neither is correct because both of those formats either spoil surprises that are important or they weaken character arcs or twists that are valuable. Rather, you should watch it in Machete Order, which is first you watch episode 4 and 5, and you get the major twist of Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker being father and son. And then you go back in time and you disregard episode 1 because all of its events are actually pretty much irrelevant to the later events of the story. And you instead watch Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, and then you conclude with Return of the Jedi. So we're following this order, and we decided just for fun to throw in Rogue One in there because we both like Rogue One. So we watched episode 4, then Rogue One, and then we did Empire Strikes Back, and we just did Attack of the Clones. So we got to do Revenge of the Sith, which is my second favorite Star Wars film after Empire, and then finish with my third favorite, which of course is Return of the Jedi. The Wookiee, or the Ewoks notwithstanding. So yeah, I started I was watching episodes 4 and 5, and I was just thinking about how Han Solo was not a character created to fill an archetype that was needed for the world of Star Wars. He was just a character. He was just a character. He was just the guy that they found who would take them to Alderaan. But of course, because they were desperate and they needed, to evade Imperial notice, they had to go with a guy who was basically a rogue ne'er-do-well. He's basically a criminal smuggler, and they had to rely on a smuggler to get to Alderaan. And of course, he's self-serving, and he doesn't give a crap about anyone but himself, but he changes his mind over the course of the story. And I just thought about how, all of that came from the organic raw materials of character, plot, intertwined, creating a natural outflowing of the story. And the question of how they fit within the world is simply the result of their personality and their place in this world. So what I'm saying is, what I notice with modern Star Wars is everything is sort of a reference to now Star Wars character archetypes. The Jedi archetype, I hate to say it now, but the witch archetype, which has been added by Dave Filoni. Thank you for that. The droid archetype. That's a good one. The droid archetype. We have to have a droid now in every single. There has to be a droid character, and the droid character has to be cute, or the droid character has to be snarky and eccentric. See how this works? It's like C-3PO is eccentric, so now we have to have an eccentric droid character, such as the droid in Rogue One. That's wanting a revolution for droids. And then you've got the cute droid character, aka BB-8, who has to be like R2. The little droid in Andor, the cute little house droid. So now you've got to have a cute droid and/or a snarky droid or eccentric droid. You have to have a rogue who is basically a smuggler or a pirate. Got to have that. Or you got to have a Jedi. And now Mandalorian. There's the Mandalorian that's the way. And I couldn't help but think about, or it's even worse with Skeleton Crew, because then you have the pirate archetype, and the pirates are like literal, pirates. Pirates of the Caribbean pirates. This is so limiting. It's so restrictive. It's basically put the entire Star Wars universe, which should be one of the most interesting universes out there, it's put the whole thing on rails now. You simply can't tell a story that doesn't involve a cute droid or a smuggler or a Jedi or a pirate or a bounty hunter. That's another one. A bounty hunter. I just feel like, what else is out there in the Star Wars universe? What if you just stopped with all that crap, all that archetype crap, and just asked yourself, who is the character in this story? What is their life in this universe? I will say that, like, some of the, like here's an example of a character in recent Star Wars that I think was like this, an original character who proceeded naturally from those questions, those organic questions of who is this character, what is their position in this universe, what is driving them. The character of Luthen in Andor is a great example of this. He's an antiquities dealer who lives on Coruscant. He's a wealthy guy, but he moonlights as a man trying to found a rebellion against the Empire, trying to fund it, while literally by day selling antiquities to, the Imperial upper crust. I think that's brilliant. We've never seen a character like that before or since. He's a totally original character. He fits into a place in the Star Wars universe that we have not really seen before or since, and that's what I'm talking about. When Lucas was writing Star Wars, he wasn't writing Star Wars archetypes. He was writing characters. There's really no reason after Han Solo why we ever need to meet a smuggler again. Think about this for a second. There's no reason necessarily that we ever need to meet another smuggler after Han Solo. There's not really a reason unless there's a reason. And that's the problem with Disney Star Wars, is that everything's on those same rails. They can't create anything new or organic. They can't ask themselves, what character might they meet in this situation, and what would the interest of that character be? I feel like it's the exception, not the norm. We just don't. Honestly, there's another kind of archetype as well, which is the rebel. The rebel. Every Star Wars movie, TV series, whatever, it always has to boil down to a tyrant versus a rebel. I think that's limiting. The name isn't Star Rebellions. The name isn't Star Empires. The name is Star Wars. Star Wars. In theory, it's about any kind of conflict within this galaxy. It doesn't have to be a rebellion versus a totalitarian state. It doesn't have to be that every single time. The prequels were not about a totalitarian state specifically. It was more about, it was a civil war. It's basically a civil war versus the, roughly evil separatists who were corrupt and wanted to exert their influence over the galaxy, thus having to break away from the Republic and cripple it. And the Republic's effort to prevent the death of their civilization because of separatist bullying tactics. Disney seems to think that there's no other story you can tell in the Star Wars universe. That's what really struck me as I was going through Machete Order, watching it again. How limited they are in their creativity and how limited they are in their thinking about what this world could be like. Skunk says, ask again. I stepped away. Oh, yes, I asked Skunks if you'd be sad if I brought up the outro music. That was my question. I've become accustomed to asking that. It's my litmus test. We could just do a little go a Googling. You know what? Actually, this Superman debate is fascinating. Let's get Melanie Mack's thoughts on this. I have no idea what she would say about this. And I find myself curious. The captain is a curious man. Share screen.
So the Superman trailer has dropped. What are my thoughts? I'm about to tell you, and I want to know your thoughts as well, so you can let me know in the comments. But let's go ahead and dive into what we just watched. Now, with these superhero movies and all that, one of the biggest concerns I have is the DEI stuff, the woke stuff, all of that, because we have seen that infested in Marvel and DC at large, not just in the cinematic universes, but also in the comics as well. So that's the first thing that I'm looking for when I watch, when I went into watching this, right? I'm like, okay, is this infested with woke DEI stuff, right? Now, in terms of, I personally don't think that we've had a stupendous Superman movie thus far. You know, I've always been hopeful. I think we've got
not even the Christopher Reeve film
was that crazy about any of the Superman movies that we have gotten. I did really like the old cartoons for Superman, but I always felt a bit underwhelmed by the Superman movies. So is this going to be different? Is this going to be better? We'll see. So as you see, you start out with him suffering there. Now, as going into this, we wanted to see Henry Cavill as Superman, right? That's what
I certainly did.
Was teased at that. The Rock, why am I forgetting Black Adam, all that. And then we got let down when they were like, actually, we're going to go with this guy. So there automatically is going to be some skepticism around this guy because he does have to live up to Henry Cavill. But I will say what I saw in this trailer, I think he actually looks the part pretty well. Again, I wanted to see Henry Cavill, but I think he'll do fine. Like, he actually has a Superman look, has a very similar bone structure to Henry Cavill and all that, who also inherently has a very Superman look. I will say I am most impressed by his Clark Kent than his Superman even so far, which obviously this is just a little trailer, so we'll see. But I think in terms of his Clark Kent, perfect. Just very, what I got watching this was a very likable Clark Kent, right? Here he is suffering again, like, oh man. Here we have Lois Lane. I think they did a great job casting Lois. She looks great. She wasn't race swapped. No DEI Lois, right? No uglified, trunified Lois. We got a very pretty Lois Lane. She's feminine. She's got that cool office attire going on.
I mean, she's no Terry Hatcher, but you know.
I think she's great. I think that they did a good job.
She's way better than Amy Adams. I will, at least looks better than Amy Adams. I think Amy Adams is probably the worst casting for Lois Lane ever because she's so bland. She's so world weary all the time, which is that's not Lois Lane. Lois Lane is peppy. She's fiery like that. She's a risk taker. Yeah. So at least we're not dealing with Amy Adams here.
Job with that. And then him again as Clark Kent just seems very likable. I will say that. So, okay, then you've got this. You've got like some old pain, and then Doggo here. Help me. And then you have some more actual Superman scenes. Like this part does, like that frame. I would show the actual clips and stuff, but I have to be careful because of monetization and stuff. That was cool. The special effects, all of that. Lex Luthor seems all right. I mean, we'll see how his performance is, but I'm not hating it.
I'm excited for this Lex Luthor. I have a really good feeling about this actor. I think he's going to be awesome for this.
So then you have, Superman doing his Superman thing. And then you got like the people hating him. People, I mean, here's a guy who protects the world and then they're hating him, right? So, I mean, this kind of, I don't know I don't know who that's supposed to be. I'm going to be honest. That hair. Now, one thing I don't like is it does seem like they are trying to set up a DC universe here and their own, like, trying to do what the MCU did, what the DCEU did before. I don't like that. I want to see a Superman movie be a Superman movie.
Yeah, exactly my point earlier in the stream. We don't need all that shit. We don't need all that shit. We just need a Superman movie.
This is my thing with the whole superhero movies in general. I am so tired of everything being tied to a multiverse. I don't want to see any more multiverse stuff. I
think she means shared universe, because multiverse is a separate issue. And no, I don't want to see a multiverse. But I think she's referring to shared universe. I'm fine with the shared universe. We just don't need the shared universe introduced in the first film. We don't need a dozen extra characters shoehorned into it so that we have our shared universe. That's the problem, because it distracts from the main narrative of this should be about Superman versus Lex Luthor and Superman and Lois Lane. That's what this should be about.
Want to see the superhero in their own movie shine in their own movie without having to promote and introduce other superheroes. So here you have, like, obviously that romance connection between Clark Kent, aka Superman, Lois Lane. I think that's great. Have some more normal hetero relation.
Like, what is going on with this robot? You know what I mean? Like, this is what I'm talking about. There's a robot, there's a dragon, there's Hawk Girl, there's a Green Lantern, there's Mr. Terrific, there's a dog, a super dog. Look at all that shit. What is it all doing there?
Ships.
I mean, because you can't even guess at how all this fits together. You just can't. I certainly can't. I cannot guess at how all this fits together. This is a big red flag. This is a big red flag because the sheer preponderance of extra stuff, that's a lot of spinning plates. That's a lot of spinning plates. How is all that going to come together and connect in a coherent single through line? I don't know. It feels like James Gunn is really going for the trick shot here, and that makes me nervous because what we need, I don't know. Look, on the other hand, would I want him to just play it super duper safe? No, I don't want him to play it. I guess that's one reason why I actually kind of like the trailer opening with him kind of beaten and bruised and needing help from his doggo. I'm okay with that because it kind of feels like he's not playing it too safe. He's introducing some real stakes right off the bat. I kind of like that. For example, I think Superman Returns with Brandon Routh played it way too safe. That was part of the problem with that film. It was literally just trying to run on the nostalgia of the Christopher Reeve films, and it just wound up being very bland at the end of the day. It sort of just rehashed all of the old, it was replaying all the old tapes. So it's not that I want James Gunn to play it super safe, but on the other hand, this is a lot of spinning plates.
For goodness sakes, said all this queer stuff. So I'm not seeing any queer stuff in these trailers. Not seeing a lot of like woke DEI stuff. I don't know much of some of these other characters, like this guy. I don't even know who he's supposed to be. So I don't know if that's a race swap or not. I don't have a problem with this character, but I will say again, I don't want to see this extended universe stuff in a Superman movie. I just want to see Superman. That's it. That's all. So there you go. There you have that. Basically, I mean, we see some very Superman-y things. You see Superman's got to protect people. You see Superman, despite getting hate from people, is still protecting people. you see the casting for at least like the main characters here that do look very on par and very good with what you expect from Superman, right? So my thing with this is I think it definitely could be good. I'm not freaking out in excitement, but I'm not disappointed either, because I already didn't have very high expectations going into this. So I am cautiously optimistic.
I'd say I pretty much agree with her. Hat tip Melanie Mack in terms of being cautiously optimistic. You know, I think at the end of the day, we have more questions than answers with this teaser. That's really where we're at. We have more questions than answers because some of it pretty great, like some of it very optimistic and hopeful, some of it big red flags. Big red flags. Skunk's Workshop says, actually, no Galaxy-born. Save that talk for supporters only. Oh, because we got Kevin. Yeah, big mad. The Kevin bot is mad at us. Thinks we're all racists. Perhaps that is to what you refer. I don't know. I might at some point start doing I was trying to set up memberships. I don't know. I have to work on that because I don't think I actually got the memberships fully set up. I'm missing a step and I haven't figured out what it is. So probably there's some like requirement or box I haven't checked. Whatever. We'll figure it out. But I'm thinking about doing more of like talking about Galaxy-born on member streams or something. We'll see, Skunks. We'll see. But I hadn't planned on doing any Galaxy-born talk tonight anyway. I'll tell you. I look, I like teasing it. I like talking about it a little. It has to do with the professional mindset, right? Because if I spend a lot of time talking about all the cool things I want to do with Galaxy-born, that's time I'm not spending writing it. And I'm a big believer that when you talk about a goal without, too much, you start to actually deplete the energy of the actual work, which is the work is the work. You need to be doing the work. And it's an old-fashioned, old-school way of looking at it, but it's like you don't talk about the project while you're working on the project. I'm bending that rule a little because I love my audience and I want to share it with you, and you were curious about it, and that's a good thing, and I want to support that. A Patreon's an interesting idea, Skunks. Yeah, I'll think about that. I'm not a fan of Patreon because they've been very pro-censorship in the past, but then again, it might not be a bad starting point. We'll see. I got to think about that. But yeah, my main issue is like the more I'm talking about it, the less I'm doing it is kind of how I feel. So we'll see. I don't want to like spoil things. I kind of want, I want to like keep some of it close to the vest, but also some of it probably needs to be fleshed out in the actual form of a story before I totally commit to this is like what's happening in the world. But that being said, most of the lore of the world is fairly solidified in my mind. I'm pretty sure where, most of it has landed. So we'll see. We'll give you some more teasers in the future, Skunks. I promise. We'll think about a Patreon. That's a good suggestion. I'm going to think about that. But yeah, so we've been going 4 hours tonight. 3 hours, 47 minutes. Where is Mr. Producer, if you would, please? Press play. It's Christmas time. We had a Krampus in the chat, but they can't all be winners, as Bad Santa Billy Bob Thornton said. Yeah, well, don't let us down, says Skunks. I beg of you. I won't let you down, Skunks. We'll make it happen. Well, thanks for hanging out with me, my dear sailors and Starnuts. Even Kevin, thanks for... I mean, I really appreciate it if he actually made a coherent argument, but, you know, we're dealing with an NPC. Woke hive mind. Nothing you can do about it. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you all have a Merry, Merry Christmas. We might do another stream before Christmas, so keep an eye on the Discord. Link is in the description. And check out Sonic 3. It's a lot of fun. Jim Carrey is hilarious, and Shadow is great. Skunk says, awesome show. Merry Christmas, and you know what? Go easy on the producer this week. This is the season to be jolly. Mr. Producer has a big Christmas bonus to look forward to. That's right. Nope, you've earned it. Oh, it's all in good fun. Mr. Producer knows I'm just kidding. I couldn't do without you, Mr. Producer, so thank you again. Thank you all. I am Captain Garrett of the Swords and Starships channel. And until next time, this is Captain Garrett saying, I will see you out there among the stars.